Welcome everyone to Comics from the Multiverse, episode 487. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Matt.
Hey, what is going on?
This is the DC Comics Podcast. We get together to talk about the books we read this week. Coming up on today's show, Matt, for some reason, read DCKO Harley Quinn versus Zatanna issue 1, so he'll talk about that. But we also have Superman Unlimited issue 8, Wonder Woman 28, Absolute Flash issue 10, Nightwing 133, Batman Superman World's Finest issue 46, Superman the Kryptonite Spectrum issue 5, and the Batman Second Night issue 2. Plus I've got a Patreon book. I'll be talking about Batman and the Outsiders issue 30. So
I will say only one book this week I did not enjoy reading. So we'll get to that when we get there.
Interesting. I mean, I have a guess. I think, but we'll see what that is later. We'll see what that is. We also have solicits today as well for March. We got the March solicits to go through, so we'll get into that pretty quick in a second.
And so those dropped. I was out late one of the nights, so I came home and they had already dropped. So it might have been Thursday, and Scott Snyder had shared them on social media. And like an idiot, I clicked through, and I feel that there's major spoilers for KO. Lit it all over him, so I'm sure we'll be careful to wade through that minefield, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so be careful out there, guys. If you are the type of people that look through the solicits as we talk about them, or after we've talked about them, just be very careful.
Yeah. It's always a risk when there's a big event ending in the coming solicits, especially if they don't go out their way to redact things or whatever it is.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll get into that in just a minute. But that was almost Christmas, Matt. In fact, the next time we do an episode, it'll be after Christmas. So, how you feeling? What's going on?
Totally not ready. It snuck up on me this year. I was talking to my wife last night that this is one of those weird seasons, or one of these weird Christmas seasons that doesn't feel like it. Like it just hasn't been, usually we've been watching, more movies and we go and do the Christmassy kind of activities. And it all just kind of went from Thanksgiving to Christmas, I feel like, in a blink, So that said, she's having family over tomorrow to make cookies. So I'm going to hole myself up in my bedroom and watch Die Hard. And maybe Die Hard 2. I'm not certain, but that's how I think I'm going to remedy that.
Hey, cookies take time. You may have time for 2 diehards. It's not unfeasible. Yeah, it's just it's busy getting things done before. I mean, I'm not even taking time off for Christmas really, but like just because obviously certain stuff like shuts down for a couple of days at Christmas, you kind of work around that a little bit. But no, it's
very, very upset. I didn't get a chance to see the new Silent Night, Deadly Night because it wasn't showing anywhere within a 30-minute drive. Yeah.
I did get to see it, funnily enough.
Oh, lucky you. Yeah. The closest theater playing it to me was like a 35-40-minute drive all the way across town. And I'm like, I'm not doing that for an hour and a half movie. A theater that I've never been to. So very upset about that. I mean, I'm sure it'll be on streaming somewhere soon, and I'll get a chance to watch it. But yeah, a little salty last week because I got done with the show and was like, all right, I think I'm gonna go to the movies. Wait, what do you mean it's showing out in North Las Vegas? So yeah, that didn't go well.
Yeah, now we did our Screams After Midnight episode on it. That came out this week. So if you want some extended thoughts on New Silent Night Deadly Night reboot, you can go get those over in the Screams After Midnight podcast feed or in the Mail Fuzz Movies YouTube channel. But yes, so yes, and I haven't seen the new Avatar yet, but that is something that will be happening very imminently. And then that'll be the Sci-Fi Shows episode next week. So, new James Cameron movie for Christmas. That's what more could I ask for?
Yeah, right. Do you do the full 3D IMAX thing, or do you just go one over the other?
I'm not doing 3D.
Standard?
No 3D for me. I've left that long behind. I think Way of the Water, I might have seen that in 3D, and that was notable because I hadn't seen a 3D movie in like over a decade by that point because I don't like 3D. But I made the effort just for a Cameron movie. But this time I'm like, you know what? It doesn't really add that much. I'd rather be comfortable and just enjoy the movie normally.
Yeah, it was funny. One of the film podcasts I listened to, because the movie's like 3 hours 17. I would just stand it for a Cameron movie at this point. Someone goes, "Oh, Cameron's trying to kill cinema." And the other co-host's like, "No, man, he's saving cinema. All the IMAX is close. They're booked, right, for this weekend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, that means people. This is something people want to go see. Not me, mind you. You know, I'm fine with not seeing Avatar, but it's something that people are excited. And as a moviegoer, I like to see that. You know, whatever brings the people there.
Yeah. It'll probably, at least make $1 billion and hit 2 billion again, because the last one even hit 2 billion. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. But I'm looking forward to seeing that. So that's the imminent plans. So yeah. Yeah. Also worth mentioning. Now, by the time this goes out, there won't be much time left in theory. But if you are someone who enjoys the other Male Fuzz shows, the movie podcast, Screams After Midnight, Collector's Cut, Atomic Cinema Experiment, we're going to be doing end of year specials for all those, and there's actually like a little voting form out for people to pick their favorite episodes of the year. Now there will be a Comics From The Multiverse voting, fan vote for best books of the year and all that. I will remember to do it this year. I've been reminded repeatedly to do it this year, so it will be happening a little bit later, because we're not doing our annual yet for a little bit, because we're doing it with Connor and sometime in early January. So but if you do like those other shows and you do have favorites you can pick out and stuff on that form, then go and fill that in during Monday at the latest, really. So you've not got much time when this goes out, but if you've got a chance, go and have a look see. But so we'll get into things, starting off with the Kindle rankings, formerly known as the ComiXology Top 10. Just looking at how the books are ranked per sales right now on Amazon at the time of recording. Matt, what is your guess for what came out this Wednesday?
Before I jump the gun with the absolute book that came out this week, I'm seeing anything Marvel, they clash two different adjectives together. That might have been the big one, or an X book that I'm not seeing here. But nothing is jumping to mind, so I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Absolute Flash.
Absolute Flash is correct. That is number one. Number 2 is X-Men Book of Revelation. Number 3 is Harley Quinn versus Zatanna. So the KO books are still selling regardless.
I mean, look, Harley does move things, right? We've seen this before.
Yeah, well, it's not just Harley, though. Number 4 is G.I. Joe. Number 5 is Titans 30, which is notably a KO fight issue. It's Cyborg versus Swamp Thing. So even that, which is not a one-shot and doesn't have a Harley Quinn in it, is still doing much better than it normally does. And
Titans usually never breaks the top, 10 when we talk, not since the days of Tom Taylor, I think, when it was Peace World.
Yeah, I don't think it usually breaks the top 15 or 20, to be honest. I'd have to go back and check, but that's what it is. Number 6 is Wonder Woman. 7 is Thor. Number 8 is Avengers. Number 9 is Rogue Storm, and number 10 is The Power Fantasy, which is a Kieran Gillen book. Just outside the top 10, World's Finest is at 11, Superman Unlimited is at 12, and Nightwing is at 13, with Kryptonite Spectrum at 16 and the Batman Second Night at 19. So that's where all the DC books kind of map out to this week. So not too bad, not a bad showing. Absolute and Wonder Woman both in the top 10, 2 KO relative books in the top 10, which is funny because those are the books that I've decided not to bother with based on the last couple of fight issues. But hey, they do sell well. There's a reason why they do these gimmicky sort of event months where they have a bunch of tie-ins and things like that. So
the Titans one gets me because that's an issue of Titans. That's not a one-shot like the Harley and Zatanna one.
I think that's exactly the takeaway there, is that even that, despite it being an issue 30 of an ongoing series, still spiked because it's a KO issue. So, no, fair enough. Fair enough. Notably more than, because technically it's still been a KO tie-in the last couple issues, right? Because it's been doing the whole Titans evacuating the cities. Yeah. But it's interesting that this fight issue gimmick has propelled it much higher than even that did.
I wonder too if people are buying into the rounding, right? Because it's round 4 and you get the little blips of what's going on. So I'm wondering if people are picking it up for that too.
Yeah, you give people a set of numbers and they feel like they're missing one if they don't get round 4. Yeah, maybe that's the ticket is the OCD
It's almost
part.
worked on me. I've almost went back and got the Aquaman Hawkman, and I almost picked this up, but cooler heads prevailed. So, yeah.
Very good, very good. Anyway, let's get into solicits for March, shall we? That's the main thing blocking us from talking about the books this week. So we'll fire through this. Some of those new issue 1s are popping up here at the start. We have Lobo issue 1 from Scotty Young and Jorge Corona on the book. It's a tough sell for me to make me care about Lobo or want to read a solo Lobo project. And I'm not sure if there's any creators that would make me, even my favorite writer and artist, I don't know if they'd make me interested in a Lobo book, if I'm honest.
I would still hesitate, right? It could be Tom Taylor with Jorge Fornes on art, and I'm still being like, I don't know. It's Lobo.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably still try it at least at that point, but like...
You know what, though? I'm sure Ram V could do some weird existential crisis Lobo that we would probably enjoy. But yeah, man, this is gonna have to go to the vote to get me to read it. Like, after the Wonder Woman Lobo issue, I'm kind of tapped out on Lobo,
I feel like Lobo belongs with like I know he's not created by him, but he belongs with like the era of Robles Feld. Like that's where he belongs.
Yeah.
But hey,
I think he's a Starlin, right? So, but he came maybe late 80s. So, but it's on that cusp of the 90s where there's a lot of pockets and
I'm not even
angles and
I'm not even talking about like the era he came from. I'm just talking about the attitude, the type of character he is. It just is very much that 90s attitude, kind of like annoying character to me. But hey, so that's
and this is part of the next level branding as well. So
all these issue 1s are this is the first ones where that stuff's coming in. So then we have Deathstroke the Terminator issue 1, written by Tony Fleeks and art by Carmine Diadomenico. I mean, it's a new Deathstroke book.
I mean, we've been fool me once, shame on me type deal. I mean, we've read enough Deathstroke, especially on the show. I'm more open to this than Lobo.
Yeah, I'm definitely more open to Deathstroke than Lobo, but it's still not a character that I'm like immediately excited about reading a solo book for.
No, that said, the Diadomenico art might be a lot of fun in there. Seeing what the Deathstroke can do. Also, them calling it Deathstroke the Terminator as well, which was his original title way back in Teen Titans of the 80s. I don't think he's had that branding in quite some time. So
they're going for the nostalgia play here with that title. And then Batwoman issue 1, which we knew was going to be Greg Rucka with Danny. So this is him finally following up on all the Batwoman stuff that he's been wanting to do for decades at this point. So
how can we get us to read a Batwoman book? Well, Rucka and Danny, we'll be good.
I mean, you say that as if we wouldn't try most Batwoman books, to be fair.
No, but this gets us excited for it. This gets us like, it's Rucka. I mean, we read the not planetary. What was that?
Outsiders.
It wasn't Rucka because Batwoman was an Outsiders. Yeah. That ended up being a follow up to that. So, because Batwoman was there, and but yeah, and Danny's art should be a lot of fun. Especially if it's anything like the early J.H. Williams stuff from that run. I think that run was called Elegy, or that first story, anyways. Kind of chippy kind of deal. So it should be cool.
Yeah, we got DC KO issue 5, which is the final issue of KO. So we'll see how that works out. We got Absolute Batman issue 18. We got Absolute Wonder Woman issue 18. Absolute Superman issue 17. We have Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 10. That's a pretty neat cover. With the American flag kind of dripping through the fingers of whoever that is.
Whoever that's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Real quick, going back on that Absolute Wonder Woman, that cover as well. I don't know who's done that cover. It's not popping up for me, but it's the green, and it's got Zatanna and Diana in there, and it's just like, man, that is wallpaper worthy.
Yeah, you're finally maybe getting your Zatanna that you've been hoping for.
Yes. Yay.
Yes. So yeah, that's the absolutes. We got any more of those? Yeah, we got Absolute Flash issue 13, Absolute Green Lantern issue 12, and that's all the absolute books for the month. And then we have Green Lantern issue 33. Apparently it takes Kyle Rayner is taking center stage for this arc.
Yep. It's the Legacy 600th.
Yeah, so they're doing a big 600 special kind of thing for it. $6, 56 pages. So yeah, they're doing kind of a special. I'd love to go back and try and figure out how they got, because when I tried to do legacy numbering for Green Lantern on my own, I got close to what number they were at, but it was maybe like 50 off or something like that. So I'd love to go back and sort of see their working and what books they counted. But curious all the same. A lot of Kyle Rayner covers there by the looks of it as well.
Yes.
So that's cool. Nice they're doing something special for that. We got Nice House by the Sea, issue 8, so we're just on the brink of that being back. Speaking of Vertigo books, we got some issue 2s of the ones that just started in February. We got Bleeding Hearts issue 2, that's the Dennis Camp book. We have The Pearl of the Brutal Dark and Ezra Kane Mystery, that's the Chris Condon book. That's a pretty cover for that one as well. We got End of Life issue 2, that's the Kyle Starks and Steve Pugh book. And then we have DC AEW issues 1 and 2, and notably the cover of issue 2 is Mercedes Moné and Lex Luthor standing tall whilst the Justice League and all the faces of AEW are lying flat on the mat. So I don't know what's going on there, but
look, am I gonna want to read this? Probably not. Am I going to? Absolutely.
I might be in for the absurdity of this. However, like I have tried many times to read Steve Orlando books, and I have disliked every single one of them pretty much. So
that is my main hang up as well, is the Steve Orlando of it all. But that said, it says you got Excalibur and Booster Gold calling the action. On top of that,
funny.
I gotta know what that's like.
That's actually pretty funny. Yeah.
But let's see who's on the cover of issue 1, wrestler wise. We got Orange Cassidy. We got Tony Storm, we got Mercedes, we got Swerve. It looks like Osprey. So, pretty cool. Yeah, and you got some nice Daniel Warren Johnson variants. It looks like someone's taking the buckshot lariat there. I can't see who it is. It's the thumbnail. Yeah, looks like it's Luthor.
That main cover is, I'm pretty sure, half a cover. I think it's going to be a wraparound, just based on the way it's cut off at the side, but
that makes sense.
Yeah, so yeah, they're doing that weird crossover. So on you go. And then we got Batman issue 7. So yeah, that's Jimenez with Fraction. We got Wonder Woman 31 with the nice cover with both Diana and Trinity on the cover, which is cool. So we'll see how this is where the Wonder War begins, which they're teasing now. For issue 31 onwards. Catwoman 85, that book's still trucking along. That's up there in the numbers now. We have Batgirl issue 17, which sounds like the start of a new arc, which I'm pleased by, because it means the book's not done yet. I'm always worried that when an arc's ending on that book now, where I'm like, oh, please don't be over. And it's like, no, we're doing more. And she's back in Gotham. And also another detail, which I won't mention for spoiler's sake, but so stuff going on there.
I will say it is, from reading the solicit, this just the name of the title, which I won't give away because spoilers. It definitely is giving me those Immortal Iron Fist vibes, where Cassandra's come back from her little sojourn and now she's back in Gotham, and there's all this kind of weird martial artsy businessy stuff, and I'm here for that. So just let Tate cook.
Except this is way cooler because it's not a lame character.
Iron Fist is not lame, okay? Iron Fist rules. Just don't watch the Netflix show, guys.
I'm sorry. Iron Fist is lame. He's a little bitch. No, I'm sorry.
No, Iron Fist rules. Iron Fist and Cass would, I think, get along really, really well.
No, take that. Wash your mouth out with soap. No, Cass is way better, and I will not be going with this.
Marion Kai rules. I don't know what you're talking about.
That variant with Cass like hanging upside down under like the train track or whatever it is, looks pretty neat actually.
Yeah.
So
for sure,
that's very cool. Harley Quinn issue 60. That's coming out. We got Poison Ivy 42. So apparently Poison Ivy's got a new position in the city. I won't spoil it, but that feels like a new status quo change for Gotham.
And this isn't a KO spoiler, but this was a spoiler that I had seen when I clicked through the Scott Snyder link, and I was like, wait, huh? And so I'm already tapped into that book as it is. So very curious to see how that plays out.
Harley and Ivy, Life of Crime issue 4. We got Batman Superman World's Finest 49. So that's trucking along. We got Detective Comics 1107. Continuing Tom Taylor's run. Pete Woods is on the art for this one. We also have Green Arrow and Black Canary guesting in the issue, so that may be fun.
That Yannon cover with the canary cry making the concentric circles. Oh my god, it's very Saul Bass looking. Saul Bass is, in case people don't know, graphic designer from the 60s, did a lot of Hitchcock's title sequences. But yeah.
Oh, there's like a weird variant which is kind of good but kind of bad at the same time, but I appreciate what it's going for. It's the RoboCop poster, and it's but Batman's intentional looking very stilted and robotic the way he's stepping out the Batmobile. It's meant to mimic the RoboCop poster. I'm like, I don't know why they've decided to do this, but part man, part bat, all.
God damn, this Batman is also all thighs. His thighs are huge. Like that man squats 800 pounds.
Yeah, it's like the body proportions feel weird, but then it clicked that they're going for like a RoboCop looking thing, and I'm like, okay, I kind of get it, but weird.
And Batman can't even say dead or alive, you're coming with me. He just has to say alive or you're coming with me. You know?
Yes. He won't shoot you in the balls, but he will kick you in the balls repeatedly.
Yes. He'll punch you repeatedly. You know?
We got Nightwing 136. So that's continuing on with Dan Moore. It sounds like a start of a new era as well, with Dennis Cowan joining as the artist. So it's a shame to leave Dexter Soy behind, but again, that probably means they're at least planning a whole other arc of this run if we got a new artist on it. So
and a blurb at the end says superstar artist Dennis Cowan joins ongoing writer Dan Waters for a supernatural noir tale of urban folklore, which is like perfect for Dennis Cowan. So even if this is just like an arc, we're gonna get some really moody Dennis Cowan art in the city and Bloodhaven, which is kind of the opposite of Dexter Soy, which is cool. Yeah,
the cover is really nice as well on that, with like Nightwing's head upside down, but you've got like the red rising sun, but the blue of his logo at the top. Yeah, nice stuff. Action Comics 1096. Just continuing on what it's been doing. Supergirl issue 11. Who's this asshole again?
That's Sunboy or whatever his name was. He's from the Mark Waid, World's Finest, early on in the run.
Yeah, I remember he's from that. I just don't remember his name or anything.
It's not Sunboy. I can't remember.
He was the sidekick. I saw this and
this is on one of the other things that I saw, and it looks like we're doing a big crossover through the super books. And it was one of those things where it's like, well, I said I was done with Supergirl, and now there's a big crossover coming. So, yay me!
Yeah. I can't say I dropped the book anyway, but I can't say that's enticing me back. We got Superman issue 36, which I won't say what's going on here for spoilers' sake, but it does certainly paint a bit of a picture post KO and a bit of a different direction for a little bit. So we'll see how Williamson handles that. We got Superman. What?
This is the way that you said that. We'll see how he handles that.
Not well, I'm guessing.
Yes, it was just layered with that light sarcasm. Very funny.
We got Superman Unlimited issue 11, which we have young John Kent.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to look into it. I don't want to know why, but yeah, weird.
Well, I will say that the crossover seems to do with the Superboys. So it's going to involve Kara Supergirl, Connor, John, that lost, first sidekick, and and some other well-known Superboys, and then maybe some that are added because this character here looks different. So yeah, I don't know why John's DH'd. Because he was Superman, not Superboy. So
well, to be fair, the character in Supergirl from World's Finest, he was grown up as well, and he looks like a kid on that cover. So maybe there's a multiple timey-wimey things going on with a bunch of Superboys. I don't know.
Could be.
Adventures of Superman, Book of Kal-El, issue 7. That'll be staying on its own, I assume. That's a very nice cover though, with the S shield. It is.
Yeah, that's
nice.
cool.
Aquaman issue 15 is there.
Yeah, God.
The Flash issue 31 with a new creative team. So the Mark Waid duo that we've had just for the KO tie-in period. Ryan North is taken over with Gavin Guidry on the art. And Ryan North, I'm
pulling his stuff up from Leah Comic Geeks.
He did do something recently because I'm sure someone told me that he did something recently. That I did read. Oh, I think I did that crypto book that I stopped reading after one issue. But to be fair, the writing in that wasn't bad though. I just it felt like a needless side book.
Time crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Gavin Guidry art, I really like.
We'll give it a try.
It's pretty good.
Hey, here's the important part though. On the cover, Wally appears to be in a normal Flash outfit and not that stupid one that he's been wearing for the last year or two. So if that's a positive change we're getting coming out of KO, then I am more than happy with that. Yeah. So we'll give Flash 31 a try.
Yeah, it looks like Ryan North is primarily doesn't work at Marvel. That's looking like. So yeah, I'm trying to think where else.
But yeah, I mean, we'll give it a try. It's a new team on Flash. Obviously, we're going to check it out.
And it's Flash, man. I always come back to Flash, And again, if it looks like we're dealing with Wally and the Flash family, and we're back at Central and all that type of stuff, I'm there for it.
Yeah, we got Justice League Unlimited issue 17. So that's doing more stuff that book does. Titans 33. There's a new team of Titans apparently teased on this cover. They're all in silhouette, so
also new writer here. We got Tate Bromball.
Oh, we're gonna have to read that now, aren't we? Yeah, because it's that's the Batgirl writer who's taking that over.
Yes, that is, and the artist Sammy Basri
was on Birds.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep, on Birds, and it's looking like there's a super character. Judging from the silhouette, it feels like Connor, but I can't tell.
I would guess Connor too, based on the silhouette, but it's always room for malarkey.
And it looks like there's a Wonder Girl, also based off of the silhouette. It might be Cass. So yeah, no, I didn't realize Tate Bromball was the writer. I had seen like the whole New Titans thing, with the not the redacted, but the silhouettes on the cover. So, but yeah, no.
I made it bigger, and the one on the right might be Stephanie Brown.
Oh my god, what if the New Titans are just the old Titans? It also looks like Tara right there riding the rock.
On the back, yeah. Because that looks because it looks almost like a pink bat logo. And then there's kind of a spoilery looking hood. So
you're telling me we got Connor, Cassie, Steph, and Tara. Not quite all New Titans, but new for now. I'm digging that. That's a team I can get behind.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's just some wiggle room there. We may not be right in all those guesses, but yeah, that's interesting. We have Green Lantern Corps, issue 14. So yeah, that's also Aftermath of KO stuff. We have JSA 17, and that's still doing year 1.
Yep.
We got Batman Static Beyond, issue 4. We have Sirens Love Hurts, issue 2. That's the one that's got Black Canary on the team. We have Gotham Academy First Year, issue 6. Mad Magazine 49, some facsimile editions, which I'll just kind of skim past quickly. Oh, there's a bunch of these. And collections-wise, we've got DC Superhero Girls High School Reunion trade paperback. We have DC Pride, The Heart Wants hardcover, so that'll be that last special they did in hardcover form, presumably. We get a hardcover of The Batman Second Night, and the solicits here.
Yep, but that's gonna come out right before my anniversary, so I know what to ask my wife for. Cause yeah.
We got Immortal Legend Batman hardcover. We have Justice League Red trade paperback. We have DC's Finest, The Joker, The Last Haha, which seems to be one of those collections with just a bunch of like 1 and 2 part stories from all over the place.
552 pages.
Yeah, but
so looks like
but it's like
a catch-all Joker book.
It's like an issue here, a 2-parter there from Batman, and maybe a couple issues of Detective there, so on and so on. DC Finest Wonder Woman Dawn Before Darkness, and that is that's the end of Gil Simone's era, I think.
Yeah. So it leads up to the series' monumental 600th issue. So, yeah.
Yeah, so 2000s, somewhere in there. We got Green Arrow Year 1 Compact Comics Edition, so just a reprint of that in the compact form.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite stories in all of comics, so if you guys haven't got that, pick up the compact edition.
We got GLA Salvation Run, new printing. I wonder why they're reprinting that.
Weird. Couldn't be anything at all.
Yeah, it's not like it may be forming the loose basis for something that might be coming up in a movie or TV project soon.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, then you may not have watched something yet, so I won't say. But anyway, The Demon by Jack Kirby, Absolute Edition. So hefty 600-page, 16-issue book. So cool. Then we got Absolute Green Lantern Rebirth, a new printing. I mean, this has been a rebirth or an absolute. A couple times before.
Yes.
So not surprised. We have Green Arrow by Jeff Lemire and Sorrentino, deluxe edition, new printing. So, yep, just that run again.
Another great run. Pick that up, guys.
We got Zatanna by Paul Dini, omnibus hardcover. So that's interesting. They're putting that together actually, because I think the various parts of it have been in trades before. There was definitely a 1-16 trade, but this is collecting the Detective comic issues that are relevant, some one-shots and some other things. So it's the full shebang.
I gotta look up what Black Canary and Zatanna Bloodspell is, because it's something that's right up my alley.
Yeah, it sounds like a one-shot to me, but I mean, I could be wrong. GLA Book 3 trade, so this is just a reprinting of that Morrison era kind of run of GLA. Yep. We have GLA A League of One Deluxe Edition. Yep, that's coming out. We got a Batman in the 70s new edition. So this is under 200 pages. Under 200 pages of stories. I mean, it's a pretty small selection, honestly, all things considered.
Yeah.
We got Batman Brave and the Bold Tomorrow's Heroes trade paperback. We have Batman Urban Legends Omnibus Volume 1 hardcover. So that was the anthology book they did. This is the first 12 issues of it all bundled up. So that's interesting. We have DC's Finest Batman Death in the Family trade. So another countless reprint of that. We have Nightwing and Night in Bloodhaven Compendium Book 3. So this is the later chunk of Chuck Dixon's Nightwing run.
60 through 82 is included in there.
Yeah, plus some other bits and pieces from other books and one-shots and whatnot. We got Suicide Squad by John Ostrander Omnibus Volume 2. So they're getting more of that run out. I don't know if that's all of it or just the second of many parts, but that's there. We got Teen Titans by Jeff Johns Compendium Book 1, so the big thick trade paperback that's 1,300 pages. R.I.P. the spine on that.
Gravy.
Teen Titans Bronze Age Omnibus hardcover new edition. So that's a reprint of that. We got DC Marvel Superman Spider-Man issue 1, which is...
What is this?
Well, this is the next in their line of their crossover one-shots.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I might have to go pick this up. It's got Greg Rucka. It's got Christopher Priest, Jeff Lemire, and Gail Simone.
Yeah, it's an $8 72-page book, so presumably there's at least 4 stories in there, hence the 4 writers. Yeah, so that's there. And that wraps up the solicits. So interesting to put that at the very, very bottom of the solicits, but
yeah,
hey, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I die.
Oh no.
Thoughts?
He's still alive. So, Pete, did you see any other news that came out today before we were recording?
I didn't. What
I
happened?
saw something. So they officially casted Brainiac.
Oh, who did the cast?
Yeah. Let me find him.
Oh, no one you know then that well.
No.
Presumably.
He is a German actor. I know that much.
Ah.
And yeah, and it's keeping the whole cast kind of unknown, right, to go forward. But yeah, Brainiac for the next DC movie. It is Lars Eidinger. And he's been in a bunch of German stuff I've never seen or even heard of. I'm gonna trust in Gunn, you know. So far he's not let me down when it comes to comic book movies. But he's got the forehead and the jawline for Brainiac. You know. Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, I'm just getting a photo of him. I mean, you shave his head, I can see the chin.
Yep.
You know, working out. So, I mean, fair play. And honestly, Brainiac having a German accent does not even sound bad to me, to be honest.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't do a German. I was going to try and say something in like Brainiac would say, but I can't do a German accent, so I'm not going to try.
I was going to let you do it because I would want to hear what your Scottish accent blending into German would look like. Or sound like.
Superman, yeah. Meine Hände. My buttered city of Kandor, Superman.
Oh, God, it's going to...
There. I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yes.
So yes, very good. Good to know. Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Shall we get into the books then? Is that something we should do?
Yeah, let's get to jumping.
All right, DCKO, Harley Quinn versus Zatanna, issue 1. Leah Williams writing with Mirka and Andolfo on the art. Now, I said I wasn't going to read any more fight issues. I have maintained that. I've been true to my word. But Matt decided to read this one, so on you go.
I mostly enjoy Leah Williams, and I do love Zatanna as a character. Harley's grown on me in short bursts or whatever. You know, you won't ever catch me actively reading like a whole Harley series, but little one-shots and minis here and there. We're good to go. And I was very like, I had committed to this, and this was one of the last things I read this week. And I was like, I told our viewers and listeners and Pete that I was going to read this. I got to follow through. And so I did. I read it this morning. And I got to tell you, if the first 2 fight issues were more like this one, I probably would have been reading all of them.
Oh.
Because Leah Williams takes the opportunity here to really, like, the structure's there of the round 1, round 2, round 3. But instead of doing like nostalgia pops, Leah Williams takes some time to really flesh out the characters and what it means that these two are fighting. So it starts with Zatanna in this, like, it looks like a magic-y room. Like there's all these weird artifacts kind of all over the place. And we start with her narration, and the boxes are purple. And then on the next page, we get to Harley, and she just starts destroying everything. And she tells Zatanna, like, hey, you're like the strongest magic user in the universe. If I want to win this, I have to go at you hard and fast. And so she takes the butt of her mallet and hits Zatanna in the throat, rendering her incapable of speech. And that's right after Zatanna had like reached out her hand to shake. And Harley saying like, hey, like, this is winner take all. Like, if you don't have the guts to fight me, then you have no business being here. So the whole first round is Zatanna essentially on the run, and Harley like stalking her through this, like, it's not a store, but it's like a storage room of magical artifacts. And it's almost like a slasher movie with, we get these panels of just Harley's feet and just Zatanna's legs, as Zatanna's trying to hide behind all of these.
Williams has got a foot fetish
bookcases. Yes, just a little bit, maybe a leg thing. And yeah, and Harley takes the first round very easily. And then it does, the big KO splash page. And then we get Harley doing the Deadpool thing where she's commenting on, breaking the fourth wall and having these meta, comments about, ooh, costume change. And, she says that she can feel the energy, the Omega energy flowing through her. And she says, it makes me feel powerful, like a big farm exec or a mall cop, or even the most powerful creature of them all, a teenage mean girl. So there's a couple little quips here and there. And we get like, Mirka and Andolfo, whose art here, again, through the first chunk, everything's dark and moody because it's in that like storage space for all the magical artifacts. And then here we get to all these different costume changes for Harley, and we see the different eras. And she ends up in like a combination of her, combination of the New 52 pieced together outfit, but also a little bit of her traditional like gesture, kind of. And this is where Zatanna calls it out. She's like, these form changes are a boon meant to enhance the stakes of the fight. And Zatanna's like, yeah, that it's kind of like a dirty trick. It's to make you not realize who you're fighting, right? It's like a disassociation tactic. It's like the Heart of Apocalypse is saying, like, you're not fighting this person, right? And so Zatanna's like, well, fine, then we're going to do this without gimmicks. And they're just back in their regular clothes, which, again, from the last two issues that we read, where it seemed that to be the entire thing, was like, how can we put out the most ridiculous versions of these characters? And we get into like Harley's realm now. So like the first round was what Zatanna's mind had put together. And Harley's is just kind of like all these boxes with things like in them. Like there's a star here and a plant here. And she apologized and said she's been playing a lot of retro video games. Right. And they get to fighting and Zatanna heals herself. And Harley's like, well, see, this is why I had to go hot out the gate, because if I could fight you and you heal yourself, I have no chance of winning. And Zatanna takes this like spiky piece of a flower from her mind, from that Harley's mind had created, and stabs Harley in the leg, and then the actual fight seems to start. So we get like a hand-to-hand fight between Zatanna and Harley. And again, Andolfo's art is really good. We got Harley spitting out a tooth. Before we get to a really quick KO from Zatanna. And again, like these other books have been, it's tied 1-1. And this is where Harley almost tricks Zatanna into winning, because that's what the final endgame is Harley realizes that whatever this thing is, whatever the King Omega is meant to be, and Harley gets a little upset because why does it have to be a King Omega? Why can't it be a Queen Omega? Whatever. It's going to need somebody like Zatanna who understands power, right? So she starts talking Zatanna through this, like, you just got to end it. You gotta kill me, essentially. And Zatanna, she starts using Zatanna's own tactics against her. She starts using the backwards talking magic, right? And that's where Zatanna finally has enough. And Harley pulls this magic gun out of her hat while she's doing the backwards magic. And she pulls the trigger, but Zatanna just yells, "Shut up." And she's got like this weird dark, like it's almost I feel like it's the Omega energy flowing through her. And she yells, "Shut up," and everything stops. And like there's this eruption of energy to the point that it sends out this like spike and it stabs Harley through. And she ends up, Zatanna winning. And this is where Zatanna tells her, I was never going to make it past you. I just had to make sure that you're ready to do what you need to do. Because you're that person. You're one of the good ones. And yeah. And so Zatanna's upset, but the Omega energy surrounds her, and she sees this crown floating off in the distance as she's crying. And she cradles Harley's dead body and, stands up and says that she's not going to waste, this rage that is now in her for having to kill Harley, and she says, "Who's next?" And she stands up covered in blood. And yeah, so compared to the last two issues, it felt very formulaic. I'm glad that while this stuck to the formula, it at least gave us some character aspects here. You know, this is what I was looking for in the Superman Captain Atom issue. You know, two heroes going at it, and you know what the ultimate price is, and Harley immediately clocking what it is and being like, I'm not the type of person that should be wielding, you know, multiversal changing energy. It has to be Zatanna. I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed Zatanna's arc of being the, I don't want to do this, but I'll do what I have to. Right? And that's kind of what I wanted out of Superman, you know, and out of Wonder Woman. And it's weird that it took Leah Williams writing Zatanna to finally get that idea out into the open. And then we jump, because this is chapter 5, right?
Yeah.
We are now jumped to Darkseid Booster being held upside down by Gorilla Grodd and just getting
What?
Yeah, just getting whipped around in a Planet of the Apes style fashion, and
A lot happened
Grodd
in
just
those 2 pages from the end of whatever the other book was, Titans this week.
for sure, and Grodd's talking shit. Like, he's like, you took the form of Booster Gold. How embarrassing, you know? And Darkseid fights back, but Grodd's got him on the ropes. And in these 2 pages, man, Grodd ends up taking like a lariat and still standing. He's like, all right, I've had enough. You're my match for strength, but you're not match for my psychic abilities. And he starts hitting him with the telepathy. And
Telepathy.
Yes, I can't say that word.
Telepathy.
And it ends with Darkseid Booster on his hands and knees, not being able to handle it. And I was like, wow, this jumped. And I'm kind of enjoying this now. Like, for the little pieces of me that want to go back and check out the other chapters, I kind of like just getting blips and not understanding context.
Oh, it's
what's going on.
It's absolutely more amusing having no idea why he's being bullied by Grodd all of a sudden. That's way funnier.
It's so good. But yeah, and so this issue as a whole, I don't know if it's just my lower expectations or my fondness for Leah Williams writing. But I was pleasantly surprised. And this was the first of these KO tie-ins that I've really enjoyed. And then Mirka Andolfo's art is perfectly suited for the action that is not over the top. It is like a knockout, drag out fight with Harley using the mallet, and the way that the art draws the impact, and we get like close-ups on the faces and reactions during the fights. It was all around just a really good issue. So rating this, I'm gonna have to give this an 8.
Okay. There you go. Superman Unlimited issue 8, Dan Slott writing and Jeremy Adams as well, with Lucas Meyer on the art. So Guy Gardner features heavily in this issue, which may or may not affect your enjoyment of your Superman Unlimited this week.
Yes, it's got 2 of my favorite characters in it. How could I not be amused?
What, Toyman and Guy Gardner? You sick freak?
No, Superman and Guy Gardner. And we get the bowl cut version of Guy Gardner.
We get him cutting his hair. He uses his Green Lantern construct to put a bowl over his head so he can trim his hair into his perfect bowl shape.
Yes. I love it.
Rough stuff. So the premise of this issue is that Simon Stagg is funding a spaceship. A rocket is going to space, and the reason why they can go into space and go further than they've ever done before is because Toyman has developed a new engine system using Kryptonite, because Kryptonite's now this resource they have. He's built it around that, and Lois somehow has ended up as the member of the press who's going to be like an astronaut on the ship. So Clark's all concerned because she's going to be on a ship that's fueled by Kryptonite. Therefore, he can't, in theory, come and save her as easily as he would do, even though he kind of does later anyway. So it's not even like it matters that much.
So it's the first commercial light speed test flight for a spaceship, and we got all these influencers and pop stars and tech billionaires, and so it's all these, you know, upper like echelon type people that get to do this first. Yeah,
it is me or Simon Stagg looking kind of young and slim here versus what I usually think of him as.
It's because it's not Simon Stagg on the mission, right? His company paid for it, but this is Sebastian Stagg.
Oh, it's his son.
Yeah.
Ah, okay, that makes more sense. This isn't like Sebastian Stagg. Has he had a makeover that I didn't know about? But yeah, fair enough. That makes sense.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, the intro is Toy Man. They also introduced that there's some other people in astronaut suits that Stagg is talking to, so he's up to something, which obviously comes into play later.
And it's clearly they're alien because of the font on that their speech bubbles have. So it was like, oh, who are these shadowy figures?
Oh, sure, yeah. But basically, there's a bunch of aliens in space at the sector of 2814, at the edge of the sector, who are like, those stupid humans have developed FTL travel. We don't like that. They're a pain. Can we like scare them off at ever like using it ever again and make them go back with their tails between their legs? So they basically try to ambush everything, and this is also where we get introduced to Guy Gardner, who is effectively called in to escort this mission, this ship leaving Earth, which is the duty of whoever's guarding Sector 2814 of the Green Lanterns, which he puts up a bit of a fight. He tries to argue that Hal should do it, but he's off doing something. Carol shouldn't do it because technically her ties to Ferris Air mean that there's a conflict of interest of her helping out with a Stagg Industries like shuttle launch. All right.
Which I understand in a vacuum, right? However, she's still the Star Sapphire and a hero. So regardless of it's Stagg or Ferris, she's gonna make sure people are safe.
Also,
right?
But here's a more important question: does the public know she's Carol Ferris as Star Sapphire?
And I don't think so. Same with Hal Jordan, right? Like they say because he's as a conflict of interest for him because he likes rocket ships, right? He's a test pilot. I was just like, that's definitely some weird.
That's not what they said.
Yes, it does. It says, Jordan's whole thing is experimental rockets, right?
Well, yeah, that's how. That's why.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why Guy tries to argue it, but she just says he's off on sick leave or something.
That's right. He's off on medical, and it's Ferris. Yeah. It's on the. That's right.
Yeah, I was like, well, you're giving this like some elaborate reason when the reason is just he's off sick. That's right. He's got a sick day.
I read this late last night. I got my excuses swapped in there. But yeah. So Clark's nervous. Lois is like, calm down. So they launch off, which is a great full page spread of the rocket taking off, to be fair. But yeah, guys escorting, and they get ambushed in space. Superman hears that this is going on, immediately like flies off to go and try and help. Guy's already kind of dealing with it. The big plot twist here, though, is that those shadowy aliens in the suits are shapeshifters who start mimicking the astronauts, and the idea is that when they go back to Earth, these aliens will have taken over these roles. But Lois thinks quickly on her feet and puts on green lipstick that the influencer had, the idea being that Clark will immediately notice, something's not right there, and then they also pay off something else to set up earlier on, which is that, when you want help, like I'll ask for it, and he's like, I've never heard you say the word help. And first of all, like, that's a cute idea for Lois Lane, although I'm pretty sure she's said it numerous times throughout the years in comics. Like, not in like a demeaning way, just in a, I'm falling to my death. Help! Yes, I do like the fact though that this is essentially their safe word, right?
Yes.
Like, and that Lois does not, unless she can help it, cry out for help.
Yes.
So making it the word xylophone, it's something that she normally wouldn't say, right? It's still, he can listen for it, But yeah, it took me a second to realize why she had asked for the green lipstick. And I was like, what does this have to do? And then it clicked towards the end. Again, I read this late last night.
Yeah, they already established that they were taking form of the passengers. So I was like, okay, I get what they're doing here. And not only does he notice the lipstick, but then he says xylophone to her, and she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, I thought so. And then obviously immediately kind of like, sullies out what's going on with, which turns out to be Darlings. Darlings are the ones who have shapeshifted. They made a deal with Stagg for whatever reason.
Yeah, and it was that one evil Durlin that was behind the whole Green Lantern Corps United Planets shenanigans as well. So seeing them come back around was pretty cool.
Yeah, it makes sense why Adams was involved in the writing of this with that little connection. But Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, fun issue, very standalone. You know, I will say it is stretching. I mean, I know they talk about it at the start that Lois is spreading herself too thin by being, you know, mom, wife, running the Daily Planet, helping with superhero stuff, but also now astronaut. It was stretching the believability that she'd even have time to, like, you know, prepare for this and go do this. You know, it is just kind of getting on that sort of outskirts of, like, absolute absurdity of how much time does a human being have. But it's a standalone issue. I thought it was a fun time. I thought the art from Meyer was solid throughout. You get a lot of good stuff with the rocket taking off, stuff in space. You get some nice personality contrast between Superman and Guy. There's a bit of a twist that's completely resolved by the end. Maybe there's some more to, like, why Stag was helping the Darlings. Maybe that'll come up in the future. But if nothing else, it was given as another example of how Kryptonite's being used on Earth. This idea that, oh, hey, we've developed even better space travel because the Kryptonite can be a fuel source of some kind. So
yeah, well, and just also the idea that they're going to blow the engines because of Kryptonite, right? The other aliens, and that they know Superman's vulnerable to Kryptonite, except Toyman double shielded them, right? Because you don't want the engines exploding or whatever, so it thwarts them.
To be fair, for any craft of any kind, you don't want the engine exploding typically, so it's a pretty good logic.
Right. Well, yeah, it says, I made darn sure my AAA crypto batteries were sealed up with the Neutron just for such an emergency. Womp womp. So I bet he even adds the womp womp in there.
Yes.
You know?
He's being as childish as he possibly can whilst running a space operation.
I will say that the design of some of these aliens too, like there's one that is just like living electricity, and Lucas Meyer does that super cool.
Yeah, he's basically just like a head of yellow energy with some hands. And in one panel, he even looks like a big Duracell battery because there's like a lightning bolt on like the invisible space, which kind of makes up the shaft of the battery. I don't know. I thought that was an interesting touch.
I thought that was pretty cool too. And just, I like how kind of inky or how dark the inks are, right? Because it adds with all the space stuff. It makes all the colors really pop. And I checked in Meyer inks his own stuff. So it makes all the color with the guy stuff, with the green constructs and Superman's blue and red. Everything just really stands out on the rest of the pages. So, but yeah, the art, I'll take Lucas Meyer on a lot of stuff. Like, I just love that style.
I mean, this was kind of this book doing what it's been good at, which is doing a very sort of standalone story that, you know, fits into an overall narrative with the Kryptonite stuff, but for the most part, it's pretty like set up and pay off in the one issue. The only critique I would really have is that I think maybe the ending feels a little bit rushed. Not even so much the end of the plot, but more just the wrap up of it. I feel like you get Lois waking up out of the pod, the real Lois, after they've discovered the aliens, and then like 2 panels later, the book's over. It feels like maybe a page of, I don't want to say epilogue, but just, you know, some cool down would have been nice.
Well, it almost made me feel like this was part 1 of something. Like we were gonna get more into that, and then I was like, oh, there's Lois.
Yeah, we're done. You maybe like there'd be like a second part where it's like, hey, where did they put the real people that they replaced? Like, where are they or something? But yeah, they were just in the ship sleeping. There they are. But you know, it's still a fun read. It's kind of like I feel like Superman Unlimited's kind of what I think World's Finest wants to feel like. Yeah. You know?
I agree. I like these standalone Superman stories because it really gets into, it feels like a day in the life of Superman, you know? Especially these last 2 that have been standalone stuff. And even the Man-Bat issue, I really love that. That's one of my favorite issues of the year.
That's probably the best issue of this particular book, I would say.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that a lot.
So yeah, if they can keep up this kind of day in the life, I'm okay with that. You know, there's enough room for that. But yeah, and again, if they keep Lucas Meyer on art too, at least it'll look pretty.
Yeah, well, he's not been the main artist, but I mean, I don't know if Albuquerque's staying on or if he's gone now for good or what. I haven't really paid as much attention to that part of the solicits coming up, but yeah, I'm definitely not going to be mad if Lucas Meyer's on the book in an extended form now. But there you go. What are you giving Superman Unlimited?
I'm going to give this a straight 7.
I will go 7.5. I think it was a enjoyable book. Had a good time. All right, Wonder Woman issue 28, legacy number 828. Tom King writing with Daniel Sampere on the art. So this is the final issue of the arc. Although in many ways it's kind of an epilogue issue because the fight itself happened last issue, and this was more about sort of doing some cleanup of what happens to this place now, this island, now that Mouse Man's been defeated, but also teasing some big stuff to come with the matriarch, you know, this future villain, the daughter of the monarch, all that stuff. And there's some interesting bits in here with like them, you know, finally speaking what they want, and like this one truck driver who can't, and it's actually Superman who's there saying it's okay, you say whatever you want, like, you know. So
I love that the way that panel goes out, right? It's 4 panels and then one big one on the bottom, and you just see the voice from off panel saying, "Oh, please, no need for that," because the truck driver's doing the Mouse Man nose with the hands up like ears. He goes, "I don't work for Mouse Man," and then when you turn the page and it's Superman, and he's going, "I work for you," and just the complete, you know, just those, again, it's 6 panels overall, just getting to the crux of how different this is now for these people. You know, it is efficiency in storytelling. Yeah. And I really appreciate King and Sampere for that. So
yeah, and then you've got Diana going to see Mouse Man in hospital, who's very banged up and chained to the bed. And basically says she's not going to take him back to Themyscira for punishment because she could do that and it would not be merciful. You know, she will agree to let him go and be punished by the people who he wronged here on the island, and you know, maybe that'll be much more lenient and whatnot. But you know, basically kind of says, you know, what was the line said that I really liked? There are devils in paradise, Mouse Man, and they too have ears. I really like that line. You know, to throw his Mouse Man have ears thing back in his face.
Well, I love the on the next page too. She continues that where she says, "You robbed your people of their talk. I see no reason that you should retain yours. Do you understand?" I love when Wonder Woman gets sinister a little bit like that, right? Because she has seen what the society is like.
Well, Hunt, finish it off. You've not finished it because then she leans in and he responds with Wonder Woman knows, and then she says good. So that's the capper to it, is that he says, you know, just the same thing that he was having other people say about him, but he says it about her. And it's kind of a just neat little ribbon on that whole idea. Yeah,
it's just that thing where, you know, we're lucky she's on our side, right? Like Wonder Woman is one of those things where you're just like, man, it's good that she chooses compassion and not hatred, you know. And I feel like that's what we're gonna get with the matriarch, right? Where it's almost like, what if we invert that? You know, what if someone that is as strong and as powerful as Wonder Woman uses those powers for bad, you know? So this page right here, that little hint of it, I thought was really well handled.
Yeah, the matriarch, we see her in the future get into a gladiator style like arena, and the only confusing thing here for me was that I wasn't sure if these were the real like older versions of some of these villains, or if it was just people that she'd had dressed up to be them. Because the first guy who comes out, the way he says, "Well, I was just in my house," and he seemed confused. So I was like, "Oh, they've just dressed people up as Wonder Woman villains." So because they're saying basically over the announcer, like, "Hey, Wonder Woman, you know, almost died fighting all these super villains, but our matriarch can do it easily. Look at her stomp on them," kind of thing.
Yeah, they're gimmicking, you know, the her feats, and I think at least this one, Angleman, I definitely think that might just be a guy, right, that's dressed like him.
They couldn't find the real one.
Silver Swan, or you know, and we get to Silver Swan that feels like the actual Silver Swan in Dr. Psycho, you know.
Well, no, Dr.
like
Psycho doesn't seem like him, though, does he?
It doesn't? Yeah, he does.
I don't know.
He looks short-statured and older.
I guess that was my thing, though. I didn't think he looked short. At least not Dr. Psycho short. He looks more, I don't know, penguin height to me in that panel.
Maybe I'm looking at the where he gets the sword ran through, you know, when she throws it at him, and it seems like his proportions are about right there.
I don't know. There's nothing to scale to show how tall he is. I think that's the problem, because I wasn't even thinking about it until I assumed they were all fake, and it wasn't until they got to Giganta where I went, "Oh, this does seem like her," and she looks older, which would imply that this is just the real person who's much older, because of the way they've drawn her face. And I was like, okay, this might be the real one then.
Well, Well, you didn't think that was Silver Swan? One of the way she's going on about you're trying to hurt, she goes, all you do is try to hurt her.
In hindsight, I can see why it is the real Silver Swan, but in the moment, I thought it was just part of the act. I thought this was just, you're meant to be an ally of Wonder Woman, so you're going to say this kind of thing. So I get what you're saying, but I thought it was just kind of like the script, if you will.
Gotcha. Yeah, the only one that I felt was Angleman, and that's just because no one really knows who that is, right? It could literally be anybody holding that.
Yeah, who cares? It's Angleman.
Speed Square, right? But the rest of them I felt, but again, it's the whole idea of the matriarch's people gimmicking this to make her look as great as possible. And it's also like, where have I seen that in real life? Where we change reality to fit, certain things to make someone seem bigger and grander than they are.
So she's not accomplished any of this, but she's acting like, hey, this is so much easier for her versus Wonder Woman. Yep. We go back to the present day stuff, and Diana is saying goodbye to the girl. And again, I liked how they sort of brought back in the Mouse Man Knows thing here, where Diana's saying, hey, you're going to grow up to be someone, you're going to grow up to be a woman, and only you know who that is. Mouse Man does not know that. I don't know that, but you will. And it's kind of this nice little kind of like, self-individuality kind of moment of like, hey, you're going to grow up and be your own person. Yeah. And that's kind of, and it's a little bit scary because the girl's saying, well, what do I do now? And she's like, I don't know. And because you're free, no one will ever tell you what you should do now. That's something you have to discover on your own. So there is a little bit there's a reason why some people do seek comfort in being told what to do. There's a reason why that does appeal to some, but hey, you're going to be your own person. So I liked how that's all wrapped up here.
Yeah, and that's what freedom truly is you're free to be who you need and want to be.
Yeah.
So, and I'm wondering if we're going to see her in the Wonder War, whoever this girl becomes, right? Because it feels like King's setting her up here with we don't know what you're going to be. Is she going to lead, this resistance against the matriarch with the idea of Wonder Woman?
I think it could go either way. I think this could be the last we ever see of her, and it's just left ambiguous because that works for the story, and it works for like just the idea of like she can be whoever. So it can literally be anyone because we'll never tell you. Or it could be seen a character for down the line when she's older. Also, the matriarch's got a Green Lantern ring. Let's just not gloss over that. In the future.
Well, we saw her earn that in those little clips from the last time we saw her, right? The little where she took out Hawkman and all this other stuff, and she has the power to have great will, which makes sense as a dictator, Yeah,
that's how she takes down Giganta. She blasts her with the Green Lantern ring. So that's that. And then Grail shows up again, looking kind of older. Back in present day, Batman and Superman are trying to grill out Diana for like coming here and sort of breaking some peace treaties and whatnot, and saying, hey, Diana, you knew you weren't supposed to do this. You knew there would be consequences. And Diana just kind of tells him to go shove it. I mean, that's basically the gist of that's at least the vibe of her response as she gets into her invisible jet, and also just kind of reiterates that this world isn't hers anymore, it's her child, so everything she does is for her child now. And even says to them, like, why didn't you tell me it would be like this, where everything you do is in service of them having a world to grow up in, as opposed to just being whatever you believe is right or wrong. Which is an interesting thing to pose. I don't know if I've ever explored that directly with Batman, this idea that, because he was so devout in his fight against, like, crime and corruption in Gotham. Did that like change in any way once he had a bunch of adopted sons, or is that something that changed with Damian specifically, or is it still kind of because he's so headstrong, he is still just Batman, but the kids fit into it in a way? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I almost feel like with Bruce, what you just said, the kids just fit in with it, right? He's building a better world for everybody, and regardless, that was Batman's mission: is that it will never happen to him. Whatever happened to him won't happen to others, right? That's his driving thing. That's why he becomes the Bat. Yeah. But for Wonder Woman here, where now it's like it's personal because she has this legacy, this daughter. She has I love the line too where she's reciting that poem, which is called "To a Mouse," by Robert Burns from 1785. Right. So I had to look all this up. And it's about the best laid plans of mice and men, right? And she recites this, and Batman just goes, poetry now, isn't that? And she tells Batman, you have your rules, Superman and Batman. I'll have my poetry and her. And she shuts the door on the invisible jet. And I really thought that, right? Because yes, they have their rules, but Wonder Woman has to be a little bit more flexible in that, right? The threats that she's come up against, especially in this King run, you know, the stuff that she's been through. And now she has little Libby, right? No, Lizzie.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd phrase it as she has to be flexible, but she chooses to be. Like, that's who she is, you know, versus what they would do in the same situation. So, so just teases at the end, you know, with the Grail being killed in the Colosseum at the end, and the matriarch holding up her hand in victory. It's like, okay, so we're doing Diana and Themyscira, it sounds like, next issue, and then in issue 31, which we talked about in the solicits, seems to be the start of the Wonder War. Which sounds fun, whatever it is. So excited to see what we're doing with that. So, yeah. So this was good. I mean, obviously, we loved the last issue. We rated that very highly. This is a very good issue, but it is like it's a come down, like, you know, calm issue. Even though it's teasing some big stuff, obviously, with the matriarch for the future, it's inherently not as high tense and emotional as the last issue was.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the denouement of this part of the story, where it's all coming down, and there is a sense of dread with this matriarch, and I feel like there's some twisty and turnings coming in the Wonder War. I feel like not as everything is what they seem, right? Because we have that Amazonian baby, right, that Emily had on the Mouseman Island. That's who we believe the matriarch is. Yeah, I was about to say, isn't that the matriarch? But I mean, maybe it's not confirmed yet. But we think it is. But that's what I'm saying. There's something about the way they're telling the story that there's something else. There's something else there. I don't know what it is. I don't know if the twist is going to be that's not who the matriarch is, if it's somebody else, or if there's something that, you know, we didn't see coming with Emily and the reason that, you know, she was pregnant, because we still don't have those answers. Like, we assume she was working with the Sovereign. Right, and that's because this is what kicked everything else off. Well, it's been heavily implied that the Sovereign at least sees her as her heir. Now, again, the actual specifics of how that happened is completely unknown to us right now. Right. We don't know if, like, again, working together, I don't know if I jumped to that, but, like, did he sneak some seed in somehow? That's what I'm saying. Like, he sees this, right, and we go from a patriarchy to a matriarchy, but all that seems to be different is that, like, she is now like the sole dictator, you know, like she is the everything, whereas the Sovereign used puppets, right, and he worked behind, but now it seems like the matriarch is the full focal point of whatever this is, and they're building her up as, look how great she is. Look at all the things that she's done. That Wonder Woman, it took her so much more effort to do, and she does with ease. So there, I feel like there's something just under, and I don't know what it is. She definitely wants the limelight in a way that the Sovereign didn't want. You know, he likes staying in the shadows. She seems to want to be out in the open, being celebrated. Maybe that's out of jealousy for, I was going to say Wonder Woman, but possibly Lizzie, possibly Trinity specifically, is maybe who she's jealous of. Well, she may be a rival, per se. And I want to know how much further into the future the Wonder War is happening, because, right, we see all the characters look older, right? And we have to assume that, remember, this whole arc started with that story. I think it was in Wonder Woman 700, I think. That but the point you're getting at, though, is that Trinity's an adult already. Like, we're already at that point. And that's when this is set. So we're a good 18 to 20 years or something in the future. Right, but the point I was going to get to is that Damian and John are still around as Batman and Superman, right? Because they're there at the cave that she goes to talk to the Sovereign. What do you mean still around? Well, that's a weird phrasing for that. Right, so if the matriarch is taken over, right, and she's this ruler somewhere, right? She's taking out a Green Lantern, or she took out Hawkman and all this other stuff. Batman and Superman are still around somewhere, right? So you got to think that. Well, what I was getting at, though, is, like, it's just a weird way to phrase that, because presumably they might still be relatively new as those personas, if you know what I mean. You know, because when does Damian become Batman? Probably not for a while yet. I would reckon to expect. So so I'm just wondering how far this goes, and like why Lizzie was there to talk to the Sovereign, right? Going through all those traps, you know, to go hear the story and all that other stuff. So, but yeah, no, this issue is fun. The art's great, right? Sampere.
No, Sampere's always great. Yeah.
These quieter moments that feel so big just because of the spotlight that he puts on in the panels. You know, like there's this we kind of glazed over it, but one of the big, mice that pulls like the cars or whatever is Diana's facing down, and she talks to it and squeaks, and it ends up calming down and rolls over, and she pets it, and it feels like this big, huge, scary moment. And just the way that Sampere draws it, right, to go from this big, scary mouse to this big mouse that wants tummy rubs or whatever. It's this nice tension breaking, and that's up there with these quieter, more serious moments as well. So yeah, it's a really good issue.
Obviously, this one's split into the two, and you've got like all the epilogue stuff is all the quieter character beats, and then all of the action is the monarch or the matriarch, future stuff. So it's nicely split in that sense, and does a job of teasing this villain that we're going to be building to. So, all right, what are you rating Wonder Woman 28?
I'm gonna give this a straight 8.
I think the exact same score. Yep. I'm excited, but it was more about teasing the next big thing, and giving us a couple of cool character payoff moments. But there's a couple of really strong scenes, though. I particularly like the scene with the girl. I thought was really good. So that's Wonder Woman 28. Absolute Flash issue 10. Jeff Lemire writing with Nick Robles on the art. So last issue ended with the whole like blowing the rogues out the sky. But they were protected. They were saved by Groot. Or not Groot. Grodd. That's a
Grodd?
Weird slip of the tongue. They're saved by Grodd.
I am Grodd.
I am Grodd, yes. Meanwhile, it seems like Eleanor's sort of like expecting Wally to come in and is almost counting on it to achieve whatever nefarious plan she has. And that's kind of what we get here when Wally speeds off to go to the lab. Meanwhile, the rogues are dealing with the fact that Heatwave has shown up to take them on, so they're dealing with that.
Yeah.
And just to sort of skip ahead to the end of that, that ends up being Weather Wizard making his big appearance to help them, but put them out.
In the ranking of the rogues, I would always put Weather Wizard down towards the bottom. This version here he actually looks like a wizard. I feel like this is something they should have done years ago in mainline continuity.
What's Weather Wizard's real name?
Oh shoot! Is it Martin? Is it Mark Martin?
Martin, you're a wizard, so. Martin.
I think so. Yeah, right.
That was the whole joke I wanted to make.
But yeah, you're good. But no, he looks like Gandalf here. He's got the staff across his back, and I was like, man, if he's this cool, if he keeps being this cool, it's gonna jump up my favorite rogues list here. But yeah, the way that he strikes the lightning and makes it rain, and it calms Heatwave down, and we see like he's still a human, right? So he hasn't fully like transformed like I had thought, right? Like he was this creature, So that's a bit not head scratching in a bad way, but I was like, oh, what is Thawne doing to these people? I
don't know, anything and everything, seemingly, given all the different powers and tools they've got. But yeah, so Wally goes in, and immediately he's kind of affected by like timey-wimey stuff, where he starts seeing like sort of like echoes of the past, but also echoes of the future, because he sees himself talking to Barry when he first met him, like walking down the hall, and they're kind of all in yellow to denote that there's kind of like a flashback echo. But then he also sees in red, or orange, like more of a future echo, which it looks like himself, looking kind of like, roughed up and saying that he messed up. He's got a bloody nose, and it feels like, oh, this is in the future, teasing that something bad's happened. So I really like that, because that was like a kind of I think by showing you the past echo first, you understood what the other one was. It's like, oh, this is probably the future. Yeah. So he's having this like weird timey-wimey kind of effect happening. But yeah, so obviously there's more fighting with the rogues outside, building up to the Weather Wizard bit. But when Barry gets to when Wally, I should say, gets to the big scientific experiment that might be leading to the Speed Force or whatever, although Eleanor calls this place the still not the Force, what would you call it? Still World?
Still place?
something like that.
I'm looking for it.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of like fighting Trickster as she's getting involved with Grodd, and Wally's dodging out the way and stuff. But he hears his name being called from this big portal, and a hand's reaching out saying Wally, and he's like, oh, it's Barry. Barry's in there. I can get Barry out. So he reaches out to take the hand, and you can actually see his dad. He's screaming, Wally, don't, from the other room. And sure enough, what comes out is this big flaming electric sort of form of Thawne. It's Eobard Thawne is coming out of the portal, and when he comes out, he throws Wally back into the portal. In fact, he quotes Highlander. He looks up at his granddaughter and says, there can be only one, and throws Wally back into the portal, so he's the only speedster. So the issue ends with Wally in this place, which has got lots of like broken beams and like a sort of red void. But then, of course, he turns around and there's a sort of red Speed Force looking version of Barry saying, welcome home. Also, an alien, like a Salic kind of alien. Yeah.
Looking like one of the ones that we had seen in the fort, right? In Thawne's lab.
Yeah. But with like a hat on, I think, and glasses.
Yeah. looking a bit dapper, I would say.
She looks like she's like a lady in like a detective novel from like the 40s. Yeah. Like in terms of the outfit, right. but a Salic like a bit alien.
Yeah. I was thinking a bit Carmen Sandiego. A little bit.
Yes, Salic cosplaying as Carmen Sandiego. That's what this looks like.
Yes. So it's called the Still Point.
Is Still Point. That's what it's called. The Still Point.
Yes. And then when Wally goes here, there's like this weird energy thing also there. It's kind of like a fish, I would say. That's what it's closest looking. It's in between him and Barry up there, and it's speaking some weird language. So yeah, definitely, I would say I don't have something to compare this to. It's weird. Like, is that something that's here just like Barry is because it's in the same color of red, or is that like a thing that's native to this place? Right. I don't know. And yeah, but no, Thawne coming out looking like that too. This is the scariest, I think, any Speed Force thing I've seen. He's very grotesque. He looks like he's just made up of energy wisps, almost like kind of like blood too.
He looks kind of like a Speed Force version of like the Floronic Man to me. That's the kind of like shape his body has.
Yeah. And yeah, it can only be wood, and just the single panel of Eleanor's eye too, almost like, oh, we messed up, right? That's what that told me, Yeah, man.
This is wild. I assume she wanted to find her grandfather, but maybe this is teasing that she wasn't expecting him to come out like this. At least not, or maybe he's just scarier than she was expecting. Maybe she thought, I'll find my grandfather and he'll be like an old Nazi or something. But no, this is like he's a monster, like a more literal monster. Obviously, he'd still be a monster if he was a Nazi, but you know what I mean.
Yes, but he physically resembles a monster instead of just being one on the inside.
Yes.
And yeah, just so that, and then the connection between Grodd and apparently his dad, right? Because that's what they go on looking for.
Yes,
is his dad and Wally's dad, and him not being there, and just that connection between him and Wally. I like that as well. That it continues to drive them together. Because knowing Grodd, I'm always expecting the worst because of the whole mind game aspect, but I'm starting to feel here the rogues aren't the rogues as we know them. I feel like they're going to be more anti-heroes more than anything, and I feel like Lemire's going to build out the rogues. Yeah, he's going to build out the actual rogue gallery with actual weird, bad, new characters.
And to be fair, they're kind of doing that in Absolute Batman with some of his rogue gallery being more anti-heroes than just straight up villains. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're doing that with the rogues as well.
But Robles' art and the coloring, I do love all the reds, yellows, pinks, oranges going together. It makes it feel warm and hot. There's a lot going on.
When he's going into the Still Point, there is a little bit of those like red, like straight lines. I mean, it's not just that. There's also a lot of craggly stuff as well, but there is a little bit of that like style from the early issues of what the Speed movement was supposed to look like. So there's a little bit of that still kind of sprinkled in there. So I like the little bit of consistency with that. No, I mean this was enjoyable, I thought, because I mean, I don't think it's like a complete knockout of the park still, and that's kind of how I mean I think this entire Absolute book has felt compared to the other ones, but I do think that, you know, we're definitely hitting more interesting stuff with like getting to Thawne coming out of the still point, and you know, the rogues being these allies. Like, I think it's starting to like really take shape over the. I mean, I don't think I like it as much as the last. I think that issue where it was teasing Weather Wizard at the start with the storm. Yeah, that was probably my favorite issue of this book so far. But this was pretty good. I feel like this one's rounding into shape now, and I think that might have just been my expectations because it's Flash and it's Lemire. But I do like the story that they're telling here, and it weirdly feels like when I used to read the Ultimate books early on. This one feels the most like an Ultimate Flash book, because like the Absolute books have their own kind of defining characteristic. This one just feels like it's Lemire doing this new version of Flash, because we still don't know the full rules. Like with Batman and Superman, Wonder Woman, we're established to the rules at this point. Even Green Lantern with Oa and the different, you know, things there. It still feels like there's a lot up in the air with what the Speed Force is and how it's used and everything here, but I almost admire Lemire's patience for getting this far, and we still have this mystery around it. So, and while we're going through that, at least the character work is landing. Because again, I like Captain Cold, right? Like I want more of him. There's this air to him. Like, oh, he's actually an honorable man, and he's just mixed up in Thawne's machinations here. So and they're against Thawne. Like, you know, they're like, hey, we have to stop Thawne from taking all these gifts back, because, you know, especially you know, Lisa, like, you know, right, she won't have her legs if they take them back. So and that whole point with the Trickster being on Thawne's side still, because of it seems like Trickster's likes the gifts too much, right? Yeah. Like, also, it works with the name Trickster. That was the one not to trust. You know, that makes sense. Yeah. So, but yeah, just I'm admiring Lemire's patience here for this storytelling, more so than in his other DC book, which is JSA, right, where it was feeling like, all right, let's get on with it. Here, it's coming, you know, easy as it goes, I guess we can say. It's still not peak Lemire, but it's definitely the much better of the two books he has at DC right now. I think that's you know, without question. So. What are you giving Absolute Flash issue 10? I'm going to give this an 8.5. I'm just going to go with a solid 8 out of 10 for me. Having a good time. It's not amazing, but it's pretty great. So I'm digging it. Nightwing issue 133, Legacy number 320. Dan Waters writing with V. Kenneth, Marion on the R. So, like, Marion's a not bad artist, but I will admit, when I saw it wasn't Soy, I was like, oh no Dexter Soy. I'm upset by this. Yeah. So, I might have yelled at my tablet, you're not Soy. So, yeah. Yeah, so the last issue ended, of course, with like everyone seeing at least partially this incident where Olivia's head came off, and they're all blaming Nightwing for it, or at least a lot of people are blaming Nightwing for it. So, like, we have Maggie Sawyer coming to speak to Nightwing, who's by the bedside of Nightwing Prime, and she's like saying, hey, I'm really supposed to be arresting you, but obviously I trust you, so I'm here to talk to you about stuff. And she brings up, you know, working in Metropolis and Gotham, and talks about how Nightwing's kind of in between Batman and Superman, and how that's kind of like a problem for him in some ways, because with Superman, he's always the beloved, like the goody two-shoes hero that everyone looks up to. Batman's always kind of feared, and that's the point of Batman. Whereas you can be either loved or feared, and it seems to flip in whatever suits the narrative of the time. So you kind of feel like you're getting turned into a scapegoat after you feel like you were being respected before. And I was like, oh, that's a really interesting way of looking at Nightwing and his relationship with Bloodhaven. Well, because I always look at that too as like he is the first, second generation hero, right? So he pulls from Superman and Batman, right? So he gets their strengths, but now it also seems like, oh, he's also getting the weaknesses, right? Because for as much as Superman's loved, Batman's feared, and now depending on what's going on in Bloodhaven, that's Nightwing, you know? So I did like that. I was like, I never thought of it like that. You know, like he kind of goes back and forth. Yeah, it was an interesting way of looking at it. And you know, I think even Nightwing at one point says, oh, you know, it's when he's saying his goodbyes to his sister later on, and it sounds like he's about to do something really dangerous because he might not be coming back, because he hands her like all of his money and says, hey, do something with this pennyworth money. He says, you know, get out of this godforsaken city and go somewhere good. And I'm like, oh, damn, that sounds quite like, I feel like Dick wouldn't normally say something like that about Bloodhaven unless he's really feeling down. But obviously what's happened with Pierce, what's happened to Nightwing Prime, who's technically still a kid, and you know, obviously these kids that are being taken, which is obviously something else Maggie Sawyer's there to tell him about. Obviously he's at his lowest point. We're at his kind of darkest before the dawn kind of moment. And even like Babsy's appearance to come and try and cheer him up, and she's like, hey, you've been hated and been like #1 most wanted multiple times before. I checked, and it's never been the end of the world. At least, well, maybe in a literal sense, it might have become the end of the world because we were fighting Darkseid or something, but never in like the way where it's ruined your life going forward. So, and I like that because that's almost like a meta thing of like her saying, hey, this is not permanent, it's never going to be permanent, I know it feels really bad right now. I like that the character's acknowledging that, because it makes it feel less like we are supposed to read it as the audience as, oh, this is permanent. No, we know it's not permanent, and the characters are even acknowledging it's probably not permanent, but it still feels really shitty in the moment for him.
I just love her, the way that Babs is completely nonchalant with all of it, where she's like, all right, you do this, I'm gonna take the dog for a walk, you'll be back. Like, she is not worried at all, because again, this is what they do, they save the day, you know, and it's that confidence in what they do. And I just, her whole vibe here, you know, when she goes to leave, and her, you know, we'll get it done together, we'll save the day, I promise. And I'm just like, oh my god, this is an actual like human partnership, right? This is what a healthy relationship actually feels like, right? And yeah, like it's very good. And he's just a contrast with that, he's like dour, which I never associate with Nightwing, right? He's the Batman who smiles. You know, I remember that in I forget, I think it was a Scott Snyder, I think it was in Black Mirror, when the villains in Gotham realize that's not the same Batman because he is smiling. You know, because that's just his thing. He takes joy in what he does, and it feels like the Zani has stolen his joy.
Yeah, we get the payoff to Martian Manhunter sensing something, because we actually get a few pages from his perspective as he's watching Bloodhaven, and like sort of sensing that children are seeing something that isn't there, they're disappearing to somewhere that isn't there, and how that doesn't make much sense, and how it's something from the fifth dimension. And he eventually comes to see Nightwing and you know, talks to him about it, and he's like, hey, something's here, and he's like, yeah, it's something called the Zani
that should not be.
And Jean kind of makes it clear that, like anything from the fifth dimension, it gets more powerful the more people are aware of it. So I can help you get to his like Cirque du Sin, I can help you go to him, but it kind of needs to be just you, because if we send in a team of heroes, then more people know about him, and then he gets more powerful. So it's kind of this weird way of making sure it's like a one-person thing for Nightwing to go deal with. So yeah, really neat. I think on that front, I like that element. So
yeah. Also, not me realizing that was Jean's eyes because of the bug characters that we've met, right? So when it's the overlay, when we first get that, you know, the thing that should not be has come to Bloodhaven. I'm like, why are they putting the bug people's eyes here? Right? And then it clicked once it was Jean. You know, it made me feel very foolish.
Yeah, and obviously Jean does say to him, like, if the Zani wants you to go to him, then you shouldn't. But Dick's like, hey, he's stealing children, and he's going to keep stealing more. So, like, there's kind of no choice here, regardless of how much of a bad idea it seems. So it does kind of feel like, hey, all hope is kind of lost. He's going to do this, like, seemingly, like, no return mission. Also, they point out that Nightmite's still like a jar of soup, just sitting there because of after what happened with the Titan's Tower.
Yeah, I like that when Dick introduces that to John, he goes, oh yeah, that's Nightmite. He's soup now. And he goes, interesting.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know.
Yeah, honestly, the only thing about it that I don't really quite vibe with is just how Jean, like, gets him there. He just kind of says, oh, I'm going to take all of the dark corners of everyone's eyes, because that's where you see the Cirque du Sin, and make like a door. And I'm like, this doesn't seem like it's in Jean's power set. This feels like just random nonsense to me. But whatever.
No, I almost wish that he had done, like, I get the metaphysical aspect of it that Waters is going for, but I almost wish like this was a thing like Jean has to, is like, you got to think real hard about it. You got to think about the dark corners that exist when you're not looking at him, because that's where the Zani lives. Instead of creating this like meditation ball that opens into the sky, you know?
Yeah, it didn't feel like something that actually vibes with his powers at all, so it just kind of felt a little bit weird and forced as a way to quickly like have Nightwing go to the Cirque du Sin. I do appreciate that once he goes into the portal though, it's very disorientating and the colouring gets a lot more muted to make it feel like there's less life here. But he walks up and sees a child whose face is nothing but teeth. So if you like some nightmare fuel, that's something for you.
We are officially in the other realm, in the stuff of nightmares. Yeah. Yep. Like you said, nightmare fuel.
And then Olivia shows up holding her own head and says that it's not technically her exactly, but it's like an image of her. It's what's left of her, the essence of her inside the Cirque du Sin. So yeah, she's like, hey, I'll take you to the Zani. He wants to play a game with you. And if you win, you get to take all the kids home. But if you don't, then they all come here. So stakes are pretty high. Sets that up, and then the final tease as Jean is still kind of standing over the city, worried about Nightwing. But obviously hoping that he'll pull it off. He mentions the circus music that's sort of like silent is getting louder, as weird as that sounds. And we get a little tease at the end that Nightwing Prime's fingers are starting to move, and that's where we leave off. So I like this issue overall. I think all the scenes of Nightwing being a little out of character, which makes sense in the context of him being at his lowest moment. He's a little bit angrier, he's losing a bit of faith, and he's ready to go after the Zani. I like that stuff. And I like the things that it sets up, and I mostly like the Jean stuff. It's just the actual portal opening I'm not as keen on. But inherently, compared to the last couple of issues, it does feel a little bit like we have to like get him to the Cirque du Sin.
Yeah.
And the emotional breaking point kind of happened by the end of last issue. This issue, it's mostly just about how he gets there and kind of him, like, dotting some I's, crossing some T's before he goes with the various characters in his life. And those are all good scenes. But between that feeling a little bit less exciting and the art obviously not being, as Dexter saw, it's, someone else. Just not bad, but certainly not as great. I would say that this is definitely a little bit more low-key in terms of, like, quality versus, most of the issues of this run.
Yeah. I feel like I can see the seams a little bit here, right? Because they mentioned like it's the kids that can hear, right? And more kids are going missing, right? And now that Nightwing Prime is hearing the music in the soups there, I feel like what's gonna save Dick is the kid that believed in him, right? Is when he became Nightwing Prime. But it has to be in the kid form, so he could actually enter the Cirque du Sin. Because that's the one hero I feel that can bail him out, right? Is the kid, that wants to be like Nightwing or whatever. But I feel like for as much as I can see the seams, I feel like that feels fulfilling. And I don't know if that fits a horror story, right? Because that's essentially what this is, So I do like there's an ominous presence here at the end where I don't necessarily know how Nightwing's going to get out of this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about that. I'm fine with, like, because ultimately there's going to be a save at the end, right? There has to be. It's a Nightwing story, but
right.
I think the atmosphere and the vibe and like this being a foreboding villain that pushes him to the brink. I think on all those realms it's working well, which I think is the most you can ask for in a comic book villain, really. So, I have no, at least in a superhero comic book villain to be specific. So, yes. I have no issues with that. So, yeah, but so we'll see kind of like the big showdown over the next couple issues, I bet, because we know March's issue is the start of like the new arc, so we know we've got January and February then sort of like doing the final parts of this particular story, so I'm excited to see what they're doing with those. So what are you giving Nightwing 133, Matt?
I'm gonna use a 7.5.
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm still even tempted to go to the 8, to be honest, but Yeah, I'll still go 8 out of 10 on this. I still think there's enough there for me, but it definitely is a little bit of a step down just because they are, and then one or two little things in the story to sort of get us to that next part. It's just not as elegant as it perhaps normally is with Waters.
Yeah.
So cool. Batman Superman World's Finest 46, Mark Waid writing with Adrián Gutiérrez on the art. So last issue had Lex and Joker fused together into some stupid being. I've got a confession to make, Matt.
You didn't read this?
I started reading it, and I got like to the title page, so I read the first 2 pages, and I realized that I took in almost nothing from what was said on those first 2 pages.
Fair.
And I went, you know what? I have been forcing myself through this book for like maybe like 2 years at this point of not really enjoying it that much. So I kind of skimmed the rest of it just to see kind of roughly where it was going. So I saw what the ending was, and I'm like, okay, well, obviously they're going to retcon that next issue or whenever, because we're in the past, so all these characters can't know these things yet, so it's fine. But but skimming through it and seeing that Batman and Superman fused together to become that weird combination again to fight the combination of Lex and Joker, I'm like, do you know what? I like it's like almost like I skimmed ahead to just make sure, do I really not want to read this? And then I saw that and went, yeah, I don't want to read this. I think I'm done with this. I'm good.
Yeah, you're smarter than me. Because this is the issue that I actually did not like. Because it's going through all the tropes that we've seen Waid do through just about every arc here. With playing with the past. I hate the combination Joker Lex. I hated reading all those pages because they're doing the purple font and it's just a little bit different when Lex is talking versus when Joker's talking. And when Lex is talking, he's using all these flowery words or whatever, and Joker makes fun of him to the point where Joker eventually knocks down the wall between them in the mental wall, and he is fully in control now. And I was like, well, at least now I don't have to settle with or deal with the back and forth. But like the combination Superman, Batman, how they get that where there's just enough of them left over from that beam that Joker Lex hit him with, that if Superman and Batman work together, they can kind of fuse their molecules to be a little bit tangible. So they go to Hal, and Hal hits him with the willpower that created this combination Superman-Batman in order to fight Lex, Joker. And where it goes with... So Joker fully takes over the combination body, and because he's wearing the Absorbicon, which is that thing that they got from Hawkman, he's able to put his insanity into other people. So people across, I think they're in Gotham, start doing like bad things. Like one guy jumps, he's a construction worker, jumps off a building that he's working on. One of the gangsters is doing like a deal, ends up shooting everybody else. A wife goes to stab her husband, and like combination Superman Batman managed to make the save on everything. And it's because of this ability to push the thoughts into everybody, and the fact that they have access to all knowledge. The combination Joker Luthor or Joker Lex lets everybody know who Superman and Batman are, right?
Yeah. That was the final 2 pages that I saw, which was you see Gordon say the name Bruce, and then you see like Lois and Jimmy looking over at Clark's desk like, what?
Yep. And the reason that combination Superman Batman are able to find him is because there's this energy coming from the Absorbicon and Joker Lex. They're able to, and I'm like, this is all just Silver Agey nonsense. None of this stuff, like, not that every book has to matter, right? But I saw someone online talking about like, it feels now that a lot of people read comics to try to almost like finish a Wikipedia article, right? Where they have to know everything about every character. And sometimes I'm guilty of that, right? Like I feel like sometimes I need to read all the Superman stories, right? And that this person was arguing, and I forget who it was. So if it was somebody I know, I apologize. But they're not reading stuff to feel things. And I feel like that lands here especially because the only thing this makes me feel is tired. And I love Mark Waid. He's a very nice human. I've met him a couple times. I know he loves these characters as much as I do. And I go into reading an issue thinking like, hey, we're going to get some fun things. And we just don't. I get, like, again, this was tiring and I had to slog through it. And I don't feel like a Mark Waid Superman Batman book with Gutierrez art should be something that I should be slogging through. You know, it should be something that I actively anticipate. And it just hasn't been for a while. And that bums me out. And it makes me upset. It actually makes me kind of angry, you know?
I saw the word Absorbicon in like page 2 and I'm like, what are we doing? And then it was like, you know what? I think this is what did it. After like probably 20 plus issues of being kind of lukewarm to like annoyed at reading this book, it was... Lex Joker fusing together that made me go, you know what, I think I can just not read this anymore. And I think I don't have to read it just because Wade's name's on it. I mean, he's still doing good books. Action Comics is pretty damn good. Batman and Robin Year One was fantastic. I don't necessarily need to read this just because his name's on it, right? It's okay. I could just be like, nope, I'm fine, moving on with my life.
And when it comes to the art, I'm glad Gutierrez is getting to work with Mark Waid and getting to draw all these different heroes, and it's great because I really was a fan of his art from that Blue Beetle book that I read, you know? And so like that's cool, but just like some of the stuff here with the combination Joker Lex and the combination Superman, and I feel like this is just like, that's the word I'm looking for. It's all just like, yeah, it looks cool, but it's all filler, right? Like it's all just fluff here, and there's not a lot of like, it's almost, I feel like, a waste of Gutierrez's talents of like, that Blue Beetle book was funny because of the expressions and the layouts and a lot of the different things that was going on. And here it's just one action sequence after action sequence after action sequence. And again, it looks good, but I feel like I'm missing that feeling. Like there's no weight.
It doesn't mean
any of
anything
this.
if it's just action sequence after action sequence.
You know, there's no weight to any of the emotions for anything. And I just feel like because it's the past, right? But we know none of this is going to stick. Like no one knows who Superman and Batman are, let alone Gordon and you know, Lois does by now. It's because they're married. But right, like none of the stuff's going to stick. So again, none of it matters, and there's no weight to it. So
I mean, it's not like you can't tell us. I mean, Batman and Robin Year One is literally a story set in the past, but everything has weight because it's about tapping into how that relationship with those two characters starts and giving you a compelling story with villains and all the rest of it. You know, there's things to explore that are interesting, but I feel like this book hasn't really explored that much, honestly, in like 50 issues, because it's primarily just him playing with his toys. He's like, hey, I've got Superman, Batman, I've got these other villains, I'm going to smash them together, and that's what the book's been. And
that's literally what he does in this issue. He literally smashes them together. Right? Like,
you know, I mean, we got a new book starting soon, both like a whole line of Vertigo books, the whole batch of new issue ones. You know what? A couple things could be doing with getting trimmed, and this is right on the tippy top of that list.
Yeah. It really messed with me that the KO issue had more weight, right? The fighting than this did. A book written by Mark Waid about two really great characters. And yeah, so that was definitely a weird feeling this week. And yeah, so I think I don't care how this route winds up. I feel like I'm done after the Bizarro arc, after the Eclipso arc.
Yeah, the Bizarro arc
and everything like that.
Slog.
Yeah, and the high points. Maybe if we get back to Robin and Supergirl, because those have really been the high points.
Yeah, that one issue really stood out as being really good, actually. Yeah, but
you know. Maybe I'll pop back in for those, but yeah, I think I'm done because that's what I came to. So it was weird that you just had you're like, yeah, you know what? 2 pages in, it took me the whole issue to be like, I don't want to do this no more. Like I'm tired, man. So yeah, and that sucks because of what I feel like the book could be. But like you said, there's other stuff coming out, and we're going to be weighed down. So there's a good chance this would fall to the wayside regardless.
Well, we're one weighed down now.
Hey. Oddly, it's weird that Waid has no weight.
All right, okay. Nice try. This is so yeah, what were you rating the book at all?
Man, I guess because technically it's not bad, it's just I'll give it a 5.5. It's 5.5.
5.5. Yeah, okay. There you go. Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum, issue 5, W. Maxwell Prince writing with Martin Morazzo on the art. So obviously we ended last issue with Superman fighting Kryptonite Man, who just appeared, Lexi's weird, clone fusion of Kryptonite stuff all in one big package. As Superman himself puts it in his narration, this is the his Achilles heel personified, I believe was the phrase he used at one point. Yeah, it was okay. I have to say, I don't think, I think the first 2 issues of this book were really good, and then I think the 3 issues after have been all just kind of okay for me. I've not been in love with them. I think there's some nice moments, but I definitely, with this one again, after some fighting with Kryptonite Man, and he blasts him with different types of Kryptonite, so there's different effects. He goes through the timey-wimeyness at one point, he gets really big at one point, so on and so on.
Shrinks back down, has to get his 5th dimensional imp that he helped create, which I liked. All of that stuff I felt like was in this issue. I loved it when Kal-Elf shows up. I really had a fun time with that.
Yeah. I'm
not what it was setting up and what it means to Superman.
I'm not as fussed about Kal-Elf as an idea. When that showed up, I was kind of like, oh, okay, we're doing that, fine, whatever. It doesn't appeal to me as much, and that's okay. The big thing at the end of the issue is that because of all the kryptonite, Superman's effectively got really sick, and Batman deduces that the sickness he has is actually a regular Earth, something that kids usually get. But because Superman's cells are so supercharged and all that, it's actually killing him like cancer. So the end result, the little twist at the end of the book, is that to save him, they basically use the kryptonite to make him a baby, de-age him, because then if he's a baby, well, he's got this illness, his body will fight it just fine, and then he'll just grow up to being Superman again. Although I assume they'll speed up the process, not just wait for it to happen.
Yeah, well, I don't know, because it jumps forward to a couple months later, and he's still a baby.
Maybe it's not gone yet, though. I don't know. Has Superman literally just become the baby that Lois wanted? She's going to raise someone that she's already had sex with? That's a bit weird.
That's very weird, because that's where I felt like it was going, And I was like, so when we got to this ending, I was like, I don't know if I like this.
Well.
But I do like a lot of the sentiment here that it builds up to is what home means. Right. And so I do like the fact that we get Superman telling Lex that that's what he fails to understand. And it's kind of reminiscent of his final speech in the movie about he wakes up and he struggles with everything. But here it's not that. It's home is where the people are. It's where the culture's made. And because Lex doesn't care about any of that stuff, he doesn't care about people, culture, that this entire battle is taking out Metropolis, which is Luthor's home, and he doesn't care, right? And it's that Superman's care for what home means. That's his secret strength. So I do like that sentiment. I just wish it was executed a little bit better. And again, I feel like them bringing back all the kryptonite and everything that we'd seen throughout each issue, it just felt like we were going through almost like a roll call, right? He does like you said, the timey-wimey.
It felt a bit repetitive to me. I was like, I get the idea of bringing them all back in one big fight, but it didn't feel like they were being used in interesting ways. It just kind of felt like we're going through them one by one. And then on top of that, as he's going through the timey-wimey, we're getting, here's a page of him looking up at the Kents as a baby. Here's a page of him, or a panel, I should say, looking up at the L's before he leaves Krypton, and all that stuff. So, it's it's reiterating some of his history again, which happens a lot in comics. There is there's a bit where Batman says he's calling in reinforcements, and I thought the Justice League were going to show up, and they specifically showed when Superman was remembering his life, the Justice League are there, which makes sense because Batman's here. But then it ends up in all the bots from the Fortress that show up instead, and I'm like, oh, that's a bit of a weird anticlimactic bit. But okay,
there's that, but their point is to fight the Bizarro bots, right? So I wish they had showed up with the Justice League, right? He's getting all the reinforcements. There, I mean, I'm pretty sure the Justice League can fight the bots, though. You don't have to have bots to fight other bots. That's not actually a logical thing necessarily. But again, I feel like Prince, that's what the point that he wanted to get at was, you have the good Superman robots to fight the bad Superman robots, here for the visuals or whatever. And they're carrying a big version, like the effigy of Superman, which I still don't get. I might just be completely missing something there. But why are they carrying the big effigy of Superman into battle? I don't know. It doesn't factor into anything, you know.
No.
But yeah, and it's also in these pages that we get where Superman's talking about when he went to Fawcett City and hang out with Billy and Shazam. They had this, needlepoint art on the wall that it said, travel east, travel west. After all, home is the best. And that's the kind of the aspect that I think ties everything together. We also get this weird pink kryptonite moment, which I thought came kind of, I don't know if it was meant to be levity or whatever, but it didn't land with me.
It's supposed to be funny. It's the idea that pink kryptonite's like a love potion or like Viagra to Superman, where he just starts like, "Hey Jimmy, you look so handsome in that bow tie." And
and that's where we get to the point where like people or what make up home or whatever. So, but yeah, it kind of fizzles out here towards the end because those first two issues I thought were really good.
Yeah,
the time aspect issue and then Kaiju Superman, I thought those were super fun and strong. And
yeah, I think because they felt really interesting and self-contained for the most part, despite the fact that they were connected to this overall idea of testing the new kryptonites. But like it felt like since then we've just been kind of building to like a showdown with whatever Lex is up to, and I don't think that felt particularly unique or special compared to what Lex usually does.
Yeah,
it just feels like typical Lex 101 stuff for the most part. And it's not like Kryptonite Man himself is a compelling villain. He's basically just a Kryptonite walking drone. No personality there. So yeah, it's okay. Like, it's fine. Like, it was a pleasant enough read, but it's not something that I think is leaving the impact. It's not. I think the special story that I think many people were probably hoping it was going to be. Maybe some people do love it, but I think it's just okay overall.
Also, I just realized this too. That the way that they defeat the Kryptonite Man is that Kal-Elf brings up the history about how Brainiac destroyed, put in the what does he say? The AI built to save the planet and betrayed us, right? And then he puts this Brainiac code into Kryptonite Man, and because he's made up of Krypton shards, he explodes. I forgot about that. That was pretty funny. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I don't feel particularly strongly, right? They brought the spreadsheet lady back towards the end for a little cameo, so they wanted to call back to that as well. Yeah, it's fine. Like, I don't know, I just don't feel that strongly about it. For lack of anything more interesting or exciting to say. I wish I had something passionate to say, but I just kind of feel like this was a thing. It's over now, and I'm not sad. I'm not happy. I'm just fine.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be one of those books that you're like, oh yeah, we read that. That was decent enough. And then you'll remember the little intricate parts. You're like, oh yeah, that was weird. But again, I'm not upset that I read it because at least there was a point to it all. I feel like what Prince was trying to do, it maybe didn't excel completely, but there's at least a story to tell that made me feel something. So, but yeah, I still like Kal-Elf. I know the fifth dimensional imp thing didn't land with you in the last issue, but I liked him coming back and being a little bit silly. So yeah.
All right, what are you rating Kryptonite Spectrum?
I'm gonna give this a straight 7.
I'm gonna go 6.5. The Batman Second Night, Issue 2. Dan Jurgens writing with Mike Perkins on the art. Now, this book, on the other hand, I was very much into. Really dig this. Obviously, I love the Perkins art and all this, the spooky kind of qualities to the villains between the Executioner dude and Scarecrow. There's some really cool stuff there. But this obviously very quickly teases and introduces the Golden Age Superman into the mix. During the chaos of everyone running from the gunfire, Batman's obviously up in the roof fighting the Executioner. Down below, you see someone in a hat helping an old lady up, but then rushing to get to a phone booth, and then you realize, oh, that's who this is. And then he whooshes off.
He's kind of bumbling through the crowd. He's going the opposite direction, right? And then he helps the old lady up, and then he goes in the telephone booth and undoes the light there, and we get that awesome Mike Perkins image of him in the phone booth. And I was just like, oh. And then you turn the page and we get to the fight with Batman and Executioner. I go, oh no! It was almost like comic blue balls a bit. And it pays off later, right? Again, this is why I love this book. Like, again, I'm not even gonna try to hide it, how much I love this book this week.
It does this smart thing where obviously, so he swoops in and stops like the axe swing that would have killed Batman, and Batman's not sure what even saved him, but you know, the Executioner runs off and Batman's heavily injured. But what I like about the structure of this issue is that they both get a chance to spy on the other at different points. So there's a moment, there's a whole sequence in the hospital where Bruce is in hospital and he's talking to his girlfriend, the actress, and he's talking to Gardner. And Clark's like out in the halls with Lois because Lois wanted to talk to Commissioner Gardner, and he's eavesdropping on Bruce's conversation and is like, hey, he's up to something. He's talking to this actress about his secret life and what's going on. But then later on, when Clark and Lois are trying to interview at this like chemical plant or whatever it is, Batman's there doing his spy work, and he's up in the rafters listening and watching to what they're saying. It was a really nice little sort of like two sides of the same coin where they're both getting a chance to spy on the other before they understand who each other are and, you know, everything that's going on. So I really like that element to it between the two.
Oh, for sure. And just the way that they introduce Lois and Clark and just their entire dynamic is classic.
Yeah.
You know,
she doesn't know he's Superman. Let's be clear up front. Yeah, that's we're still in the secret identity phase here.
You know, and you know, they were there to do, you know, she's wondered why Superman's in Gotham, and he just goes like, "Oh, where I'm needed, Miss Lane," and stuff. And God, and the suit looks so good. It's the Golden Age suit with the black background on the S shield. You know, and the cape's not as tall. It's almost, or as long. It's almost like the Shazam cape, kind of just goes down to his waist. And God, he fits right into the story that they're telling, because they keep mentioning the Great War, or World War One, you know, and just what Superman of the 40s would be like here. And there's just that down home kind of country bumpkin vibe to him, you know, up against the cosmopolitan backdrop of Gotham. And I love that Jurgens leans into that.
There's a lot of like you know, when this is brought up to Batman later, when I think it was the actress, she brings up Julie, she brings up like this, you know, Superman's in here, he can fly, and Batman's like, no one can fly, right? Maybe he jumps high, maybe higher than we can perceive, but no one can fly. And I actually stopped and thought about it and went, yeah, we don't actually know for sure. I mean, it kind of looks like he's flying, but he could just be doing really long jumps, because Golden Age Superman didn't fly. He bounded. Right? Yeah.
That's why he leaps tall buildings in a single bound.
Yeah. You know? So we'll see.
And we don't, and we're very careful to see that, because even of the page where he's with Lois and she goes, well, what are you doing here in Gotham? It looks like he's just jumping out of the water. You know, I mean, it kind of looks like he's hovering, but it could have been either. He could have caught her midair. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because he catches Lois because their car's driving off the road. If you remember, they were getting gas with the scarecrow gas inside the car. So she was convinced they were being chased by gunmen, and then once they're saved and Superman saves both of them, she's like, yeah, we've been chased by gunmen, and Superman's like, there was no one behind you. There was nothing else in this road. Nothing's happened here. So, and then obviously Batman starts investigating this later as well, and they tie this into the use of like mustard gas in World War One, and we even get like a cool backstory here. It's when Lois is questioning Gardner about why he's so loyal to Bruce Wayne. It's because when he was in the trenches in World War One, he should have died. He should have been left for dead. But a young medic named Thomas Wayne helped him, gave him a gas mask, even took off his own and like sort of held his breath till he could find one on a dead soldier that was working, and took him back to like their side of the trench and saved his life. And Gordon feels guilt that Thomas Wayne died in his city while he was on duty, and he like lives with this guilt of like, this man saved my life when I should be dead, and I couldn't save him. So I like that gravitas to that.
I like that. So the best thing I can do is try to keep his son safe.
Yeah. And
you know,
that leads to a lot of great Perkins art in the trenches. Like all this stuff with them wearing those old timey gas masks with the big hose coming down. Oh, that looked great. That was good stuff.
Oh, and it's very moody. The way, like, when he starts talking about, when Gordon starts talking about it, his face is in shadow, and it's almost like the shadow gives way to the fog of war in the trenches, you know, and even when he yells gas, right? It's like this grotesque expression on his face, you know, just the horrors of war, and everything's drab and green and yellow, you know, so the coloring really pops through as well.
Yeah.
So then when we get back to regular Gotham and they're in the hospital, everything's bright in contrast, right? It's almost like that artificial light, you know, everything's harsh or whatever. So
speaking of coloring, when we get scenes of Scarecrow and the Executioner, and it's just the green gas is in the room, and it's like almost no other color. There's like maybe dark purples, but that's about it. And it's just this green gas really pops behind them to really feel kind of alien. And Scarecrow like looks, there's a panel where first you see like a sort of demon that the Executioner thinks he's seeing because Scarecrow's gassed him. Yeah. But the panel underneath that, though, which is literally just Scarecrow's face, is almost creepier to me. The way he's just looking right at the reader.
100%.
Yeah, with the mask on. It looks absolutely disturbing as shit.
It's the wide eyes and the smile and the glint in the eyes that Perkins draws in there.
Yeah, but with the sack over his head, though, so you've just got that sort of texture. Yeah, it's everything.
He says, relax, it's over. And I'm just like, so if this is how creepy Scarecrow is in this universe, I hope we get more of this. What's Joker going to be like? Right? I mean, or even Two-Face, because we got the Monster Men last time, right?
Yeah, now that he's done one sequel, it's like, oh, surely he's got plans and ideas for Joker and other villains.
The fact that the first one was so good, and the fact that through 2, this is so good, just give me this. If this is all Jurgens works on now, I'm more than okay with that.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Just good stuff, and the Executioner doesn't like that he was gassed, so he tells Scarecrow not to do that. But Scarecrow kind of explains that he was helping build or make gas that was worse than mustard gas during the war, but then once it was outlawed, he was kind of just cast off to the side, so that's partly why he's disgruntled. But it was always like a mind sort of altering gas that he was developing, and he talks about that. But he does casually mention that someone in Germany might want to buy his new gas from him soon. So like I was like, oh, dude, he's going to sell it to Hitler. That's a great idea.
Yeah, because this opens with the invasion of Poland, right? That's the
and the newspapers. So
right. So
it may not be technically declared yet, but World War II is effectively starting right now.
Yes, it is. It is getting ready to kick off, and you can also feel the sense of dread in everybody in Gotham talking about the Great War, right? Gordon, Bruce, all this other stuff. They keep bringing up this because it was supposed to be the last one, and we're on the precipice of it here. And so again, them talking about how horrific that one was with how we know World War II ended up too. There's just that, you know, there's some depth of storytelling from Jurgens going on here that's beyond the superhero aspect of things. Yeah.
Really good stuff. And then the big thing as well, after we get through like the flashbacks and all that, is that was it Maxie, the pimp, or the whatever you want to call him?
Yes.
They're complaining that there's no business because everyone's so scared after this big shooting that everyone's staying home. Everyone's scared to walk the streets of Gotham. You know, wives aren't letting their husbands out the house because they're scared about like being left alone for good and all that kind of thing. So like that leads him to going down to I think City Hall to try and like get answers and talk to the police and whatever. The rabbi's there, and notably the rabbi recognizes him and like calls him by his original name, and he's like, no, I go by Maxie now.
Yep.
So they're doing some stuff
there. Be proud of who you are. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Kind of blow up at his spot, which I do love that the rabbi sees the best in everybody.
So the big thing that happens there by the end of the issue is that Scarecrow and the Executioner actually attack this place with all these people here trying to like demand answers and protection. They throw gas grenades of Scarecrow's gas into the crowd, and like the violence starts breaking out. So all hell's breaking loose there by the end of the issue. Meanwhile, I was gonna say, meanwhile, Bruce is like determined to go out and investigate now that he's figured out that this guy named Jonathan Crane was working on gas. And Julie's like, you shouldn't be standing up. You should be in bed. Go to bed. And he's like, no, I have to. And then he starts promising that when he's dealt with the Executioner and Scarecrow, he'll give up being Batman. Yeah, we'll see how that goes, right? We'll see how that goes, Julie.
Once he has an in-house surgeon named Alfred, he ain't never given up nothing, you know? Because they mentioned that he was like an inch away of losing his kidney and bleeding out, right? The knife had just missed him by like an inch. And so he should not be able to go do all this stuff. And we see him nimbly jump from a car over this fence to get into this military facility.
Yeah,
on the gas
on the very next page after he makes all these promises to her. It is interesting because she kind of admits that she was kind of excited by what he was, like when she first found out, but now he's been like nearly killed. She's like, actually I'd rather you stick around so we can get married and, do all that other stuff. And but anyway, yeah, so he makes these promises which we know are foolish, and this is where, he overhears Clark and Lois talking and doing reportery stuff. But he does get into fights with soldiers or guards at this base, and this base was developing gas. Superman suits up during this and has a big kind of entrance as Batman's fighting all these soldiers, and he's struggling because he's hurt. He's still very weak from being injured. So Batman witnesses him be bulletproof during this sort of final few pages. This is all going down as the Scarecrow attack on all the public's happening, and the rabbi's getting strangled by Maxie. All that art looks fantastic, and then the issue kind of just ends with Batman and Superman coming face to face, and Superman saying, "Lose the mask and tell me why you're here." So we're going to get our Golden Age version of that traditional first time Batman and Superman interact with each other thing, which. Yeah. So I mean, I don't think Jurgens has misstepped in this second arc so far, so I'm excited to see what he does with it.
Not at all. I love when the soldiers shoot at him first with the pistol, and Superman just goes, "You're wasting time and ammunition," and then they start shooting at him with the bigger guns, and he goes, "No, those are definitely louder, but they're having no effect still." Just the pacing between that and the expression on Clark's face. Oh my God, it's like you said, he has not misstepped. Jurgens and then Perkins on top of it, like it's so good.
Yeah, Perkins is operating on another level here. I love this, and part of me's like, oh God, I wish this was just an ongoing, but then I'm like, yeah, but like this is 50 pages every 2 months. That's actually still more than a single 20-page book a month. So it would be a tough thing to like shift to. You'd have to at least take some time off between arcs, but I'm so into this that I want more, which is the nicest thing I could possibly say about something like this. Well,
and I like that when we see Superman come through the wall, he's all in darkness, and we get those heavy Perkins heavy inks over him, and it adds this presence that I don't usually associate with Superman, right? Because Superman's the daytime hero, Batman's the nighttime, and here he's shaded and all of that. And it's like, oh, he's fully on Batman's turf now. I love this so much.
Yeah, that's great. I had a great time. It went for a 50-page book. It went in shockingly quick, and everything feels so high quality artwork wise. The vibes are immaculate. Yep. The spookiness and all that of Scarecrow and the Executioner. Really loving this so far. And it's so weird that it's only the second issue, but there's so much packed into each issue that it does feel like a lot more than that. So. What are you giving Batman Second Night issue 2?
I'm going to this a 9.5.
Ooh, baby. I don't know what I want to give it. I'm tempted to go as high as that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I really wanted to give it the 10, and then I came to my senses, Gotta reserve the 10s for really special things, and this is close, but it's not quite. And it might just be my Superman bias, because this had a lot of great Superman moments in a Batman book, right? So 9.5 I think is fair.
I think I'll agree with the 9.5. I think this is fantastic. I loved how it looked, how it felt. I think just the interactions, the characters, the backstory with Gordon and Thomas Wayne I thought was cool and interesting. I like how it's tying it into these like worldwide events that are very historically kind of well known. That's all good stuff. Every month on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, you can make me read a book of your choosing at one of the higher tiers. Today I'm looking at Batman and the Outsiders issue 30. We're getting very near the end of this original run.
Yeah.
But this is the third part? Yeah, the third part of The Truth About Looker. We've got this brother and sister dynamic in this underground city where there's into two factions. And we're with the brother, that is Batman, Katana, and Black Lightning, with Mrs. Briggs, who's this person who's been kidnapped and they're saying is important. Meanwhile, the other outsiders have been put under main control by the sister, who might be the more evil of the two, although to be honest, I'm not sure if one is necessarily the good guy, per se. Tough to say at this point. A lot of this issue is backstory, because when they're asking the brother, like, what's going on, why is Mrs. Briggs here, and he's saying she's important, he goes into just telling the story of the history of this place and what it all is. And that takes up at least half of this issue, maybe 2/3, honestly. So it's mostly him telling the story of basically a piece of a comet lands on Earth, and this was around like who was in charge of their culture at the time, which the king and his queen were here, and the queen was pregnant when they were looking at this bit of the comet, and the baby from this queen, who died in childbirth, had glowing blue eyes and could fire beams from his eyes, and the king was going to just get rid of the baby, seeing it as a monster. Let's just get rid of it. But his advisor convinced him that he might be special and this would be good for the future. And this kid grew up to be the new ruler of this culture, with this extra power that made him particularly intimidating and fierce, because he could just incinerate people with his eyes. And that just kind of plays out naturally over this time, where he built up, more of an army. And then eventually all the neighboring civilizations decided to team up against him because he became too much of a threat. And it chased them into the underground, where they ended up in this system down below. But he got married, had a kid, and the kid had powers too, and that kind of progressed from there. So there's a lot of like layers to this, and then they basically they get to this point where like they realize that every time this comet passed the Earth, they got more powerful. So they started going into like what we'll call it cryo sleep, even though that's not technically what it is, but like they basically hibernate for years until this comet would pass by again, because it would make them more strong. And it turns out this is Halley's comet, so they're using like a real comet here to kind of build this around. So I paused there for a second because I thought Matt had frozen, but he just was looking down so still.
No, someone had sent me a text and I had to respond to it, so I put my mic on mute, so in case I said something. Yeah.
So anyway, eventually there was the siblings, right? There was the brother and sister, and so basically the brother was made the new heir of the throne. He was in charge, but the sister had already started planning sort of stealing it from him, and that's where this rift between the two siblings became a thing. But also part of this is that the original guy, the original superpowered guy, Laurent, he like disappeared one day and seemingly went to the surface world, and no one kind of knew where he went. And the big reveal is that he probably fathered children, and there's descendants of his in the real world. And it turns out Mrs. Briggs is that descendant. So she's a little bit not as powerful as the brother and sister, because she's like, her blood's been diluted through normies on like the surface world, I guess. But Batman does point out though, because they're saying, hey, we can give you full power and you'll look more beautiful and you'll have more powerful abilities and all the rest of it. And she's kind of tempted by it, because like her whole thing before now was that she felt insecure about her marriage with her husband. She kept saying things like, oh, I'm not beautiful enough for you, you deserve a better woman. She had a lot of like deep-seated insecurities, and he was always kind of nice about it. He was always trying to say, no, you're perfect for me, I love you, blah blah blah. But her eyes kind of light up at the suggestion of being prettier and having more confidence and all the rest of it. We also find out that the guards they have with masks on, who have these powers, actually look really kind of like ugly underneath. And Batman points this out in kind of like argument to this, and they kind of say, oh, that's because they're not of our bloodline. They were people from the surface who didn't have powers, who volunteered to get the power, but that because they're not of our bloodline, they got kind of weird looking faces or whatever. So there's some weird details here. But like I say, she's thinking of her husband and she's tempted by it all. And that's when Katana and Black Lightning are like, hey, Batman, should we really, like, she's getting convinced by this. We probably shouldn't let her just, like, go through with this, right? And Batman's like, you're quite right. Let's do a countdown. 3, 2, 1, and then we'll intervene. So they basically start fighting all the guards. And when this happens, the sister basically can sense that there's an attack happening because they're like connected or whatever. So keep in mind the cliffhanger last issue was the sister had mind controlled the other outsiders. We're like 2/3 through this issue and we've not seen her, we've not seen them the entire time. Well, I guess technically we saw her in the flashback, but you know what I mean, like we've not seen a continuation of that side of the story,
right?
But yeah, he's like, hey, there's a conflict going on over there, we can sense them fighting. So she's like, oh, this is an opportunity. Send the mind-controlled people. So Geoforce, Halo, and Metamorpho, mind-controlled, get sent in. And they do a whole sequence here where Katana sees Halo and she's like, oh, Gabrielle, it's you. It's me, Katana. And Batman immediately is like, hey, no, look at her eyes. Like, that's the same eyes that Metamorpho had last issue. Don't trust her. She's been mind-controlled. And she's like, Batman, she would never hurt me. We have a strong emotional bond. And then Halo just immediately zaps her. And like she's like writhing in pain on the floor. It's a good bit of fun. So we get like outsider versus outsiders here, and Katana's looking really like upset and crying as this is happening. Halo's like grabbing her in her beam and picking her up. Geoforce is beating up Black Lightning. Metamorpho's throwing big spike balls at Batman with his powers. They're still connected to him because it's Metamorpho, but you know what I mean. Yeah, and then like the armies in the background of the two sides, the brother and the sister armies are fighting each other. So that's the whole thing here. There's a weird moment where it looks like the sister comes in and like goes up to Mrs. Briggs and basically, you know, like, yeah, you're a pawn, but even a pawn can be powerful. But you'll be a pawn under me, under Tamira, right? Not my brother. So and then she's like, drink this, and she hands her a cup, and Mrs. Briggs is like, no, but then she says, well, all right then, and she takes a sip, and it seems like whatever she's given her is going to, like, you know, make her like one of her puppets. Maybe not the main control in the same way as the others, like she's not in like the little ball thing that they've got for the others that are being puppeted. But there's more fighting between the various characters, including Halo backhanding Katana. like Katana's taking like a beating here. You know, it's very much that trope of like, I won't hit you because I care about you, but the other one's evil right now, so she just keeps pummeling her and doing all sorts. You've got Black Lightning using some of his athletic skills to jump over Geoforce, and whatever else. Metamorpho's turning into gas and trying to take out Batman that way, which is mostly working, to be fair. So yeah, so the sister's kind of won, and she's like, hey, bring me my brother so he can watch us in our triumph. But yeah, Mrs. Briggs is kind of under control. Batman, Katana, and Black Lightning have been tied up, and you know, she's like, hey, like the occurrence of the event draws near, and basically Haley's comet's about to pass again, and when it passes, it's when they can do this thing to Mrs. Briggs. And Batman kind of figures out, and it's like, hey, we're going to rule over Abyssia, but then, and that's the underground, you know, city they're in, but then we're going to go up top and conquer the entire world. Like, she wants to dominate the surface world, so this is all about building up to that. Whereas the brother seemingly seemed to be maybe happy, just like ruling where he is, and be like, no, we're happy down here, there's no need to like have conflict. The sister's like, no, we're going to go do all this. So the issue ends with Mrs. Briggs being kind of encased in this bubble of like light that's coming down as the comet passes over. And I think, this is where she mentions the thing she made her drink as an obedience potion. Okay. I'll just roll with it. I felt like she was already being obedient when she agreed to drink it, which is the weird thing. I'm like, really, Mrs. Briggs? Right. You're just going to agree to drink this thing that the villain is asking you to? I don't know. Strange little moment there in that sense. And yeah, it's like, yeah, this light, you know, molds a sphere around her, forcing gravity, and there's no sound coming through. So if she's screaming inside the bubble, and she might be because she looks very upset, no one can hear it outside the bubble. So it's like teasing that we're doing the next part of that next issue. This is an okay issue. I think the backstory is kind of interesting, but it's also a little bit clunky. Especially the way it's told, where it just kind of takes up like half the issue of him telling the story. I like the idea of like them having like these generations all having these powers, and I like the idea of like hibernating until the comet passes by again, and that being the source of their power. I think those are cool bits of lore. I think the actual going through the whole, the king had a wife and the wife was pregnant and he grew up, and like when the baby was born he had powers, and it's that baby's descendants that all have this power, and like it was almost like there was maybe just too much detail, so it was taking up too much of the issue. And then once we did get to the fight in the back half, it kind of felt like it was a bit of a forced start where Batman and Co are just like, yeah, we can't let her do this, let's just start fighting. That felt a little bit like just kind of easy, I guess, from a writing standpoint. And then it's just kind of fighting until they lose, and then it's like, okay, now the villain's going to do with Mrs. Briggs what she wants, and that's the cliffhanger. I think where we get to is solid, and I think some of the lore, the backstory is quite good. I just don't know if it's the most elegantly put together issue I've ever read, both in terms of like how much extra details in the backstory that we maybe don't need, and then the fact that it's just this big clump that just takes up like so much of the issue. So you know, it's you know, I still enjoyed the character stuff. I like Zatanna having her moments with Halo and thinking, oh, she won't hit me, whack. Like, that's fun. You know, it plays on their relationship, which they've been building up the entire length of the book, so that's good. And it, you know, like the action's solid enough, but it is what it is for the time period. So, the art is good for the expressions, though. There's like constant like menacing looks from the villains, and there's constant like shocked like oh no faces from like Emily Briggs and any of the others. So, I think this one I'd probably come out to just say it's a 7. It's good, like it's advancing the story. It's some cool things in there and moments that pay off, but it's feels clunkier than I think the better issues of this book. So just a good on this one. But that is Batman and the Outsiders issue 30. So we'll see where that goes next time. And the cover of the next one does show Mrs. Briggs looking like she's got long red hair now and is all kind of glamorous. And she's actually got the name Looker now. Maybe that's what Looker meant the whole time. I thought it meant eye powers. Maybe it means like she's a looker. Maybe that's what it was getting at the entire time. Anyway, that's that. So that'll take us out of the final part of the show where we pick our favorite stuff of the week, favorite panel / moment, favorite cover, favorite art, and of course top 5 books. So Matt, what was your panel / moment of the week?
Okay, so Wonder Woman had a couple. I really loved when she looks at the mouse girl and basically tells her future's hers. You know, use your words. I thought that was a really good one. I thought Diana, you know, looking down Superman and Batman and being like, you have your rules. I have poetry. That was real good. But come on. It's from the Batman, and it's the first time we fully see Superman, and he has Lois. They're in the classic pose. It's the basically, you know, you have me who has you kind of stuff, and it's just Mike Perkins doing some of his great work. So that's gonna be mine.
You're a predictable sod, Matt.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, there's a couple of moments in there that, I mean, some of the World War I stuff or the Scarecrow stuff would be easy picks. I think I'm going to go with Wonder Woman, though. I think I'm going to go with that conversation with the girl. Like, you know, particularly the part where Mouseman does not know, I do not know, only you will know. Like, I think that moment is extremely well done and pays off, like, us hearing that phrase over and over again, like, throughout this arc. I think that's a really good bit, so I'm going to go with that. For covers this week, I was looking earlier. There's a nice Dustin Wynn variant of Nightwing, which is quite cool. There is a Greg Smallwood variant for Wonder Woman, which is very pretty. So that's cool. There's a Faria variant to the Kryptonite Spectrum, which is just really nice color work more than anything else. I had to mention it because it's Faria. I think for me though, the shout outs this week, or basically both the main and two variants for Batman's Second Night, which are just like it's just like a plethora of great covers. There's a variant from Nimit Malavia, which is Batman sort of like on the edge of a building with the executioner behind him, but there's like neon letters on the building behind him, and it just looks super moody and atmospheric. I love it. There's also the Mark Aspinall variant, which is Batman swinging towards like the reader and like the face of Scarecrow's behind him, but it's just all in this kind of like muted blues kind of color palette. It's really, really pretty. And then there's the main cover, which has just been like, they've all been great. This idea of like the silhouette of Batman and then like the various like characters inside that silhouette. It's a really simple style, but it always looks good. So I'm going to pick that because I'm a sucker for that simple, like, and all that negative space really gives it a bit of a like a unified look between all the covers it's had, which is cool.
Yeah. So
I'm picking that. But yeah, that had like 3 great covers this week, which is, you know, saying something. So what are you picking?
For sure. So Superman Unlimited had a variant from Gerardo Zaffino, and it's got Superman on this red background, and his cape blends in with it, and there's like a sun behind him, and just the way that the shading hits, you know, it seems very ominous, and it's kind of the opposite of what that issue ended up being. But I just thought it was a really fun image. And then of the other one that you didn't mention, Absolute Flash, the Haney variant, it's got Wally in his, you know, street clothes, and then in the Flash outfit, and then what looks like another Flash behind him, and it's doing that really cool, like, distortion-y lines on there, and I thought that was a real fun image. But mine's going to be very similar to yours. It's going to be the Batman, the Second Night main cover, just because of what it does with that negative space and then the space inside and the purple and the green that goes through it. It's so good.
All right. Yeah, cool. Then we'll go on to Art of the Week. What do you have for that?
Well, it's either Mike Perkins or it's Sampere, and I feel like we're spoiled at this point. Lucas Meyer might make a pitch.
Yeah, that's a spoiled choice for. I mean, the fact that Meyer is not even in like, the top 2 says a lot about this week's art.
Like, do I want to make it a clean sweep though for Batman Second Night, or do I want to give credit where it's due? There's a lot more of the art in Second Night, but I will say there were some really moving images in Wonder Woman, so I'll give it to Wonder Woman this week.
Yeah, I'm going Perkins for the art. I mean, it's just stunning. Every page is gorgeous. It's a really unified kind of like tone throughout the entire thing. It really does elevate. I mean, I think the story's good, but I think the art is like elevating those extra like couple of points. So it's just really, really nice. So yeah, I'll go with Perkins on that for me. And then top 5 books. Take it away.
All right, so number 1 is going to be the Batman Second Night. 2 will be Wonder Woman. 3 will be 3 will be Harley and Zatanna, which wow. 4 is Absolute Flash, and 5 is Nightwing.
All right, my number 1 is the Batman Second Night. Number 2 is Wonder Woman. Number 3 is Nightwing. Number 4 is Absolute Flash, and number 5 is Superman Unlimited. Yeah, I feel good about that. Right, I'll tell you what's coming next week from DC Comics, everyone. Next week, they are putting out Absolute Wonder Woman issue 15, Absolute Superman issue 14, Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 7. 3 Absolute books in 1 week. Oh god, we're going to be spoiled next week.
Boom, boom, boom.
Detective Comics 1104. There's Superman 33. There is Justice League Unlimited 14. The Flash 28. DCKO, The Joker vs. Red Hood issue 1, Green Arrow 31, Green Lantern 30, Immortal Legend Batman issue 5, Harley Quinn 57, Justice League Red issue 5, Batman Static Beyond issue 2, Justice League Godzilla Kong 2 issue 6, Trinity, Daughter of Wonder Woman issue 6, and Harley and Ivy Life and Crimes issue 2. It's a normal amount for us to read, but there's a lot of books out next week in total. Like, there's a lot of things there we're not reading as well.
Yeah.
So pretty hefty. And God, I'm looking at that Superman issue 33, and I'm like, do I have to? Could I skip that one? I'm not saying I will, but like, I'm not intrigued.
Are
by
we
it.
skipping Flash though? Because we have been reading Flash.
We have been reading it.
Yeah.
And it's been okay.
Can I skip it though? It's Jay and Guy, two of my favorite, most beloved characters. But
I mean, we'll see. We'll see which of the KO tie-ins we read. And even Unlimited as well. I'm looking at that going, I didn't like that last issue very much.
Yeah.
That's the other Waid book that I've not been feeling that hot on. So, like,
well, at least Flash, Green Lantern is Waid, Cantwell, and Georgiev. So, at least there's that. At least it's the main creative team.
Yeah. The good news is there's a healthy amount of books that have nothing to do with KO. So how many of the KO related tie-ins we read, we'll find out next week. I don't know. We'll see how we're feeling.
Okay.
Good
news about that Superman book though, Pete.
What?
Is he got Hayden Sherman art.
Okay.
Superman 33 at least has Hayden Sherman art. You know, I'll tell you what, I'm not touching Red Hood and Joker with a 10-foot pole.
Do you know, I was struggling to get a third option for the vote for next month. Should I do one retroactive one? I'll put Red Hood versus Joker on there just to piss off Matt.
God, it's Snyder and Williamson with Kimmy Foley on the art.
The vote is not up yet.
Dustin Wynn
for next month, right? It'll be going up in the next couple of days. Now, I had decided that the third choice, because I've got a Batgirl Cassandra Cain issue, I've got issue 3 of Night Fight, just because it makes sense for that to be in the vote. But there's not a lot of other one-shots or tie-in or issue ones like coming out in January. So I actually put in a non-DC book as just kind of a quirky third pick, just in case people wanted to. But now I'm looking at this going, I could go back and put on like a Red Hood Joker fight issue.
That's rude.
You're
going to make us do... You're going to do 2 Josh Williamson issues on a pick?
Well, yeah, but the beauty is, Matt, only one can win. We don't have to read both.
I know, but I don't trust people. And given the odds, it's like Steiner math.
Yes, but man, they can't make us read both. They can have us do Night Fight issue 3, or they can make us go back and do this Red Hood Joker nonsense. They can't have us do both. That's the beauty of it.
True. I don't know, man.
Only one can win.
There can only be one, much like Thawd yelled.
Anyway,
God, now I have a sense of dread that is emanating through my body.
That's the list of books coming out next week, so look forward to those. And we'll see you for that. There will be an episode next week. I think is normal time. I mean, we will talk about it after we're done, but I don't think we're having to change what day we're recording or anything just because of where Christmas happens to fall. But if that changes and there is like a slight delay to the episode, don't panic. It'll just be because Christmas is moving things around a little bit. But we should have an episode. So thank you for joining us. If you want to support the show, you can of course do that over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. Get it a little bit early. Get access to the Batgirl Year 1 reviews that we're doing once a month just now. We just recorded the next one, so that'll be up sometime between this episode and the next one. And the monthly vote, as we've been talking about there. So you can check out that stuff and help keep the show coming. You get access to bonuses for all the movie podcasts that I do with either Tim or David on the Mail Fuzz Movies YouTube channel or via the various podcast feeds. But thank you for joining us. We do appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.